Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Edge Grip Podcast. We took a little break in the build, didn't we?
Yeah, summer break that started in like March.
Summer break. What did you do in the break?
Pretty much nothing.
Pretty much nothing. That's a good break. And now we're coming back. We have a really, really special episode, a great episode, the best episode. Our next guest is going to amaze you, electrify you, and thrill you because he is Marc Thriller Miller. Yay!
Hey guys.
How's it going, Marc?
Welcome.
Oh, thank you. How you doing?
Good, good. Where are you, Calabasas?
Yes.
Oh,
SoCal.
Okay.
USA.
Nabil's just down the street from you.
Yeah.
Who?
Nabil is just down the street from you.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. I'm on the border of Tarzana and Encino.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
The weather's cooled down, eh?
Yeah, that was much nicer than a couple of weeks ago.
Hmm.
I think we hit 112 or something like that. But then I was traveling and it was even worse. Florida was super humid and so was New York. So.
You know, I always find it funny because I live in Vegas that Valley people complain about the heat and they go, oh, it was 112, really, really hot. No, wait till you hit 122. That's hot.
Where was it? 122.
Vegas.
Oh man, forget it.
But I spent 20 years in the Valley, so I used to live in Chatsworth Lake Manor, if you know where that is, next to Bell Canyon.
And you had Kerry Andrew doing your bike stuff?
Yeah.
You know, I rode for him.
I know. Multiple times, right? In AMA?
Yeah, but also in the AMA. We did a bunch of classic stuff more recently, but I rode with him with Pridmore as my teammate in 97 or something like that.
What was that? Suzuki?
Oh, wow.
Suzuki
Hypercycle? Celtic?
We did 750 Super Sport and maybe 600 Super Sport.
How was riding for Kerry?
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, Kerry's really good at what he does. He's not afraid to kind of mix up, like stir up a little shit kind of thing, which is kind of fun to watch. But he's almost always right when he's mad about something. But the way he goes about it is like, dude, come on, let's pace ourselves, But he's cool people, and we're still friends. And we did get disqualified a couple of times for like the smallest little infraction because they were picking on him. There, he was doing like a little bit of like Scotch
Like
Brite
magic.
of a valve slide or something. Same thing that like in Honda and Suzuki and Yosh and whatever, they're all doing it, and they're like, hey. We see some microscopic scratches right here where you maybe remove some carbon or something from the race before. It's like, he's like, yeah, everybody does that. And he's like, right here, the letter of the law. So they picked on him, which was kind of unfortunate, but he can build a fucking fast-ass motor, I'll tell you.
He can build a bike. It didn't help Gal go any sort faster, but he can build a bike.
I went really fast on the straights.
I think I've got your audio in my ears. Can I just try that again?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. Same issue. You just gotta switch the audio setting. There we go.
Yeah, I'm not gonna edit it out because I'm probably gonna be too drunk because you sent us an email and said, "Let's drink, buddies." So,
well, like, is it 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning too early?
It's 10 a.m. So I figured you wanted to drink mimosas or something girly, but here you go. So. I got a Smoke Wagon bourbon whiskey.
All right.
From a distillery here in Las Vegas. And
nice
Nabil, what do you have?
I got a Japanese whiskey. Considering the time zone, it's past midnight over there. I think it's legit to drink.
For my part, I'm drinking what my friend, my best friend from college, who was a fighter pilot for 20 years. Now he's living in Dallas. He calls this swamp water, which is like fucking water.
Course Light.
Yeah.
Since it's Saturday morning, I thought that'd be the least. I'd actually have something to say by the end of this thing and not be like.
You're not worried about the carbs?
Well, that's why it's light beer, and plus there's hardly any alcohol in it. So are we doing this or let's?
Yeah, I'm pouring right now.
I'm ketogenic, so no carbs for me. Beer wouldn't work.
Oh, really? You're on the keto diet?
All right.
Yeah, I've been a month almost. Not too
Oh,
bad. I lost about 10 pounds. I
nice,
think it's
Nice.
mostly water weight, but
nice.
oh well.
You know,
Yeah.
you're supposed to cycle in and out of keto because keto is really an emergency body thing.
Yes. Yeah. I cycled last weekend.
Okay,
I had to because it was birthday and kid had to eat cake and so on.
okay. Yeah,
It's hard to
So
avoid sugar.
you know
Really hard.
when I said cycle, I meant
very.
maybe a sweet potato or something, but you know, cake is also
You,
cycling.
you got to always do the extremes, one way or the other.
All right, cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers. Happy Saturday.
Are either one of you into rum by chance? Good rum?
Mm,
I wouldn't call it into, but my sister brought some after her Puerto Rico trip,
Hmm.
some good rum from there. And I had a friend gift me something from the DR. Um, just not enough to get me into appreciating it as much as I probably should.
My wife and I went to Havana for our honeymoon and got into the cigars and the rum, and I came home with, like 4 bottles of pretty fucking nice rum, and I've been drinking that ever since. The only thing
Oh,
we could
nice.
find in the States that's kind of close is I like Plantation XO. I don't know if you've heard of Plantation XO. It's 20 years,
yeah,
but it's something like, what is it, about $60 or something. But yeah, that's my go-to spirit when I go neat or with an ice cube.
nice.
Okay, I'll check it out. Plantation XO.
Yeah,
Yeah, rum.
we go to the Caribbeans for vacation every year, St. Bart's, St. Martin. So they have really good rum in St.
Mm,
Bart's. So
I
yeah,
love it.
island rum.
None of
Do
this
they have sugar
Captain Morgan.
plantations there, or are they
They no, they
imported?
have they make the rum right there in the Caribbeans.
Okay, nice. So, Mark, what's that behind you? A racing simulator?
This is a steering wheel that I can roll this chair over to and use my 70-inch big screen with the subwoofers and surround sound, and then I can flip it down for a movie.
Oh,
It's
nice.
on a little pivot.
Hmm.
That's a good setup. And I see the amp. Like, looks like a pretty serious setup.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it's all separate.
Audiophile.
We have a 2-channel dedicated system in the other room, which is vinyl tube amps and just the 2 speakers with it all kind of measured out and padded and stuff. But this is more the man cave. But the
Oh,
wife comes in
nice.
once in a while. The wife comes in here and she'll watch a movie with me, but otherwise she stays out of her.
So, what kind
It's
of setup you have for the vinyl? Now, I know we're digressing a bit, but
yeah.
I like them myself too.
Oh, you do.
Yeah.
So let me think if I can. I've got a Jolinda amp with EL34s on the back, which are
Oh,
actually the
nice.
NOS from Russia military Savanka winged Cs, which are like fucking $200 a piece, and there's 4 of them, so that's sort of a splurge.
Hmm.
The front's all Chinese military front end on the 12Xs, and then uh, the turntable is a Rega 5, I think
Yeah.
it is. External motor, and the speakers are French made um, Focal, spelled
Hmm.
like Focal,
Yep.
which has got brilliant tweeters, I think. And I've got some really badass interconnects. They're all solid silver Helix interconnects, XLR between
Yeah.
everything. And the speaker wire is from the Northeast, Nordost, Valhalla 2s. If you know what any of this stuff
Oh,
is, you would be like,
you went pretty high end.
it's everything was over like 25 years because you can't buy that shit all together. It's like
Yeah.
one little thing at a time, and after 25 years, like, yeah, no, this is sorted. Like, I don't need to mess with it for a while.
How many
How?
motorcycles is that in value?
Yeah, I don't know. It depends
Yeah,
on
quite a few.
how nice the motorcycles are. But I just love it. I just absolutely love it. We also got the high res digital stuff too, with a nice DAC and everything. So we got some vinyl, we got some high end digital. Love it. Absolutely love it.
Nice.
It's a
What
lot
kind of
cheaper too.
amps?
Like
What kind of watts does the amp drive? The tube
50,
amp you have?
50.
50 per
Mm-hmm.
channel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So the
Yeah.
focal
Yeah.
that worked for them. I got
It's
uh
very efficient. Yeah.
I got Bowers and Wilkins 802s,
Oh yeah.
the diamonds. The problem is they need a lot of wattage.
Yeah. What kind
So
of amp is you got?
Rotel. which is a company they bought.
Yep.
So it pairs up nicely, but it's not as good, I'm told, as like a Macintosh,
Yeah.
which I'd like to get to, but I think I'll go with my preamp. Everything is digital right now. I want to get a tube preamp uh, for the
Yep.
turntable because I like the
Yep.
tube sound. I don't think I can get unless I get the old, I think they're called MC 275s separates from Macintosh, which have, I think, 200 watts per channel
Would you
tube.
run an 8 ohms into your BMWs?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I'm running a 4 ohm setup with type A, class A, up to 15 or 20 watts each, and then it goes into like like B or something when you go up a little higher. It's plenty though.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But for BMWs, you need like 200 watts, right? Like at 8
yeah,
ohms.
yeah. It really narrows down your choices in terms of amps.
Mm. Fun stuff
So
though. I really enjoy it. It's like motorcycles. It's like high-end firearms. It's like, high-end electronics is just like it's the coolest stuff. It's like, little tiny, everything's such high quality craftsmanship and they were made with love, not like mass produced.
Yeah,
yeah,
high-end firearms is in the last couple of years became so high-end that you look at those guns that are like 7, 8 grand, and it's like, is it really worth it? No.
I don't know
no.
anything that high. I don't think it's necessarily.
Infinity is custom to you. It's 7 grand.
Mm,
They have that. Actually, next to you, there's this gunsmith, the guy that does the John Wick guns.
hmm.
I forgot his name. Turan Tactical.
Okay.
And he customizes Glocks, and those are 7 grand each.
For a handgun.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's just it's zip code pricing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
what is
if you go a
what
little
does it give
lower,
you?
there's Staccato in Austin, and those guns are 5 grand each.
Where does the money go into? The look of them or the function or the accuracy or what?
It's all handmade, and it's all trick, but I don't think it makes them any better.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a lot of
I
money
mean,
for a handgun. They're not that accurate handguns.
Yeah,
They're pretty
right.
close up stuff. So
yeah.
I just got a nice Daniel Defense 6.5 Creedmoor,
Okay.
which it's almost boring. It's so accurate. But
The
that's
seven, what do they call the
uh, I got a
DD7?
DD5 version 3 or 4.
DD5.
It's uh, AR-10 semi-automatic. I went with an 18-inch barrel, so it's the shortest one for the Creedmoor, just to keep
Hmm.
it a little bit more maneuverable. And I've got a suppressor for it, which I have a second house in Arizona, so we get to play with a lot of more stuff than you do in California.
Yeah, you got to keep that stuff out there. The
But
owner is actually a good friend of mine, Marty Daniels.
no shit,
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. We're on the same CEO group. I mean, I've known him for like 10, 15 years.
Hmm,
I get invited to their event in Vegas when they do the gun show, and they have their own
nice.
suite with the party they throw in, and really good guns. They have their barrels are kind of their call to fame. They started with the Picatinny rails, which they had
Hmm.
the two versions, and that's
Hmm.
how they initially started the factory. And then they bought these cold forged hammers.
Hmm.
So they take the barrel and they essentially have these huge machines. I mean, they're about the size of a bathroom, a little bigger than depending on your bathroom size. And they got these big hammers that just keep hammering the
Hmm.
barrel to make it stronger. So it will take a lot more heat, a lot more shooting. A lot of special forces and uh, police operators love them because they will shoot for a long time
Yeah.
and still remain accurate and not overheat too much. And then
You can feel it in the weight. The barrel is quite heavy compared to a lower quality process.
yeah, yeah, it's almost like one of the best bangs for the bucks, pun intended, I think, out there. The
Yeah, I
Daniel
mean it
Defense.
was it was 2,700 bucks, which is I thought was reasonable, with all
Yeah,
the quality on it.
yeah, receivers are good. You can get the Giselle triggers and all the goodies custom from the factory pretty much.
Mm. I've
So,
swapped out all the furniture, of course. I've got all my favorite grips and stock and everything. So
oh, nice.
matched a couple other rifles that I've got, so that all feels about the same. Everything's about the
Yeah.
same. Just I got some glass. Actually, I got a really beautiful Leopold 3 by 18, 3 to 18X, the new 6 HD. I know we're talking
Yeah,
about everything but motorcycles, but
I know.
We'll get
it's
there.
just
We'll
fun.
get there.
This shit's fun too. But yeah, that the scope is cool. I got a 50 mil on the front, so it gets a little bit more light on the front. But this, I've never had a long gun in my life. It's like it's kind of a new thing. But had a couple
Yeah,
smaller ones for like indoor urban stuff. But I wanted to, as a hobby, stretch out the legs a little bit, maybe 600 yards, maybe 1,000, just for fun. But these things are so accurate, it's ridiculous. Have you ever actually seen or held a 6.5 Creedmoor bullet like around in your hand?
Yeah,
no, I don't think
yeah,
so.
yeah, yeah.
I have one right here. Where is it? Check out how beautiful this is. Look at how beautiful
Yeah,
that is.
Oh
It's like
yeah,
an F-16 fighter. Like
yeah,
it's the aerodynamics of it. You can't really see it, but the point. It almost poke you, but it is absolutely gorgeous. Look at
yeah.
that thing. It shoots so flat.
yeah.
You know,
Those things they travel in the body, so you'll get shot in your leg. It's gonna fly out from your
that's a
Oh
stomach.
five
wow.
five
Yeah,
six. That's a 223. Look at the difference in that.
yeah,
Yeah,
When this is by itself, this looks pretty badass, but then you put that next to it, and it just dwarfs it.
yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, we digress.
It is the better ammo. We shot. So I went to a retreat essentially of investors, and there was a guys from the Flintstock group training on shooting. They all had Daniel defenses, and
Oh,
that was
right.
their preferred go-to gun. And then we shot that thing. I mean, you can hit targets at a mile and a half, size of a human, if you have the right magnification, which is
Yep.
crazy. I mean,
I
the
haven't done
report
it yet.
takes
There's a
like 5, 10 seconds to come.
Yeah, and you can't go to the actual target. You have to get in a car and drive it
Yeah,
for a couple of minutes to get to the what you're shooting at. Which
yeah.
I there's a place out here you might have been there at Angela's shooting range. It's called Angels or Angela's. It's over by Sunland. I haven't been yet, but they have a 600. I haven't done it yet. Before I got the rifle just a few weeks ago, I'm like, oh, I'm never even gonna try to shoot over 300 or 400. What do I know about, 400 yards? It's like,
Yep.
I don't know if it would be ethical to try to shoot an animal if you had to in an emergency, if we have the apocalypse or something, like I need to get some meat or something. 400 yards or whatever. Anyway, I got the rifle and I shot it a few times at 100, and I got the glass, of course, the 3x18X, and I'm looking at something with my rangefinder at 800, like a big rock in northern Arizona. I'm looking at it, I go, I could hit that no problem. Like without any question, I could hit that probably within a 12-inch circle at 800 yards, like that, without even, especially with a tripod or a bipod on a table or something.
Yeah.
No problem. So now I'm looking forward to get out to the 600 to see if we can't hit some steel.
Yeah. Yeah. It's easier when these guys do the zeroing for you. That's where a lot of the art is. Once they zero it correctly at the right distance and tell you how far, above you have to shoot because you're lobbing the bullet big time at this stage. Um, with the proper instruction and the setup, you can get it done. It's crazy. And it
Yeah,
was a
there's
DD7.
the new stuff you can, once you get it zeroed, at, let's say 200 yards or something like that, you can send the Leopold, you can send them the information of your foot per second. So I have that. I have an actual Galden Galpin. It's a Doppler that shows the
Yeah.
muzzle velocity. So the exact round with that exact bullet, with that or that barrel, with that twist, with that weight of grain. Anyway, once you get that set up, you physically change the turret, and it'll be custom made for that setup. So if once you have it done, you just go right now. It's 675 yards. You just go 675 yards. As long as the wind is close and the angle is compensated for the altitude, you'll hit almost every time. So it's getting
Oh
simpler.
wow.
It's almost a cheat. But the cool thing, the last thing I'll say about it is how cool like these projectiles they've been messing with this stuff since the beginning of humans. Spears or rocks or like having that science, the
Yeah.
actual math behind it, and to think that you could like nowadays you could have a ship out at sea hitting like a house, like what is it, like 4 miles away or 20 miles away or some ridiculous thing, and that round, once it leaves the ship is what is it, like 100 millimeter or something, but they can still do the math to be able to
Yeah.
use something as big as a school bus and throw it at a house like 4 miles away and have it basically go through the window
Yeah,
is
Yeah.
great, but it's all the same
It's pretty
math. If you
impressive.
yeah,
know You know the trajectory, the distance, the weight, and the wind resistance or whatever is sick, right?
And
Yeah.
that's that's just the ballistics. I mean, the cruise one is you don't need any math. You just
Yeah.
punch in the coordinates and it hits.
Well, if
Yeah.
you've ever ridden a motorcycle at over 200 miles an hour, you realize how much the aero is just everything. The aero is what slows you down. You need so much more horsepower exponentially for another mile an hour of terminal velocity. But you appreciate it when your custom leathers are tight around your body and they're flipping like paper. At 209 miles an hour, probably the fastest I've been. But uh, there's a lot into the shape of these things. This one's got a little polymer tip on the top of it, but it's just cool. I just love it. I love all the science, math behind it.
Yeah. Well, this was last weekend with a TD7.
Nice.
Not
That's a five
super
five
new, but
six.
yeah.
You
Yep.
know, this is also a podcast, not just a YouTube video. So Bill is holding up a phone to the screen,
Picture.
a
Yeah.
picture.
Nice. I'm so tempted
Yeah.
to go grab
Really
my
good gun.
my my DD5 right now,
We're
but I
gonna
don't know.
we're gonna get booted off of YouTube if
Oh,
you
okay. There
do
we go.
that.
Yeah, I know. It was just cancellation incoming.
Shall we get
Oh, well, we started
shall we
with
get to
motorcycle
motorcycles?
aerodynamics. Yeah, good sequitur.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna start reading your bio to people that don't know who you are, and then we're just gonna talk a little about everything you've done, which is like an entire page here. So you're the Ironman TT fastest American. You have 50 starts, 3 podiums, 22 times top 15 finishes. You have the Iceman TT Trophy Award, fastest foreign rider. Ironman TT fastest ever lap by an American.
And sorry, I have a question about that. Fastest foreign rider, as in foreign to
To the Ironman.
Ironman,
It
or
was
foreign to Europe, or what's the?
that award was only for a single year, and in
Yeah.
that year, which I have a trophy right here. Let's see what year it was. Glasses. It was 2000. And sorry, guys. 2009. I was the quickest non Anglo Brit. So I wasn't Irish, English, Manx,
Yeah,
Scottish, but I had the fastest lap that year of a non-British. So the faster than any Italian or German or
that's crazy.
you American. Yeah, I mean it was cool.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know the time between you, Rennie, which was also on the podcast and also raced the TT, and Jeremy
Yeah.
Toy.
So
which
Toy
was-
and I started the first year. The very first year, he went 10 seconds faster than me. He was on 1,000. I was on a 750, which kind of pissed me off because I felt like I should have gone faster than him if we had the same bike. But he won like 120.0 miles per hour average. I went 118.65 or something like that. I don't know what Rennie did. I was thinking about that this morning. I think he may have cracked 120 by the end of the fortnight. After the end of the 2 weeks, he may have just. I'm not sure. But it's funny because you hear these guys at the top going like 134 or something, 133, which is crazy. But there's not too many guys doing that. But to even crack 120 is difficult. Like it's really hauling ass. You have to be very experienced and learn the track and
yeah,
have
you need
decent
to
equipment.
practically live on the island at least 6 months out of the year and just do that road every day.
Yeah, it helps. It really helps to do the video game, the new video game, and also watch the onboards like the old days, which is what I did. Now I'm in the video game, which is funny.
What's that video
Oh,
game?
nice.
Ride 5, right?
Yeah, I'm in this version 1.0 and 2.0. The third one just came out, and they've yanked me off of it because I'm no longer relevant. But it's Ride. I have it up there somewhere, right?
So which company yanked you out of it?
No, it's fine. It's just because I'm not in the bike that you would choose, which is the EBR with the razzle dazzle paint scheme, and I haven't done the TT now for a few years, so there's no reason to have me in the game. Do you guys know what it's called? I'm so sorry. I don't know what it's called. It's Ride the Edge or something?
Ride 5, I think.
Yeah,
No,
there's a
it's
series
it's
called
not Ride
Ride
5. It's not
3, 4,
Ride 5.
5.
Not Ride 5.
No, no, no,
Okay.
no, no, no. it's its own thing. But if you guys haven't played it, I highly recommend it. It is absolutely ridiculous. They went out there with a bunch of like Google cars and stuff, and
Oh
they've
wow.
scanned the whole 38 miles, and it's identical. I mean, it has the same cambers, it has the same driveways and the same cliffs and the same elementary schools and pubs and trees. Every tree is the same as there really is. So
Mm.
the first time I ever played the game actually was just a couple few years ago when they came out with the second one. I didn't play the first one because I played the second one anyway. The first time I'm going down Bray Hill for the first time in the comfort of my own house, I literally the hairs are standing up on the back of my neck because I had it in full screen looking out the front of the screen, not third person like chase vehicle. I was looking right out the front of the bubble. And I was going down Bray Hill, which is at the beginning of the lap, which is flat out from 0 to like 180 and just I literally was going like don't crash, because I felt like you're back to your mortal, like you have your safety at the fingertips, and you're like, don't fuck it up, like get right into the curbs because you got to go kind of into the curbs itself and into the gutters. But I was like threading it. It was so realistic that it was scaring me. And I remember the
Right.
first time I actually did crash, I literally jumped because you don't crash there. I did it once out of like I did 46 starts. I found out that's what the actual number 46 starts. I did crash after 13 years, 13 fortnights. I crashed once. Anyway, I'm playing the game and I'm like getting better at it. Kind of like you start off kind of slow to try to, and I'm going, I'm like, cool. I'm getting the feel for this, getting the feel for this, getting the speed, and I just made a mistake and I hit the inside curb and went right into the wall. Boom, and it just you explode on the game. You blow it
Right.
pieces, but you definitely, and it's me playing myself with my leathers and my helmet that I actually stickered up myself in the leathers that I helped design, and it's a replica of my own self seeing me fly through the air on the video game, and I hit the wall and I was like, because I was so in it. Like I was so like, because you just cannot fucking crash at the TT, and it's so fast. The average mile an hour is so fast and so meticulous that if you just like, it's terrifying but super fun. But it is literally you could die at any moment. At any moment, you could just be split in two pieces. Like you could just happens. Like
Yeah.
they've had.
Wow.
Games today, the 3D graphics is insane. The computing power is insane. They use, I think, an Unreal Engine, which is just insanely good in what it does.
The frame rates, it's 4K. The sound is amazing.
Yeah,
They even have the treat. You can very subtle.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I just looked it up. It's Ride on the Edge 123 TT Isle of Man.
I recommend two.
That's next on the download too,
Yeah,
because
the
it's
third
got
one
our
they
heroes on it.
yeah, the other thing that's cool is with the setup. I don't know. I've got the latest Xbox with a decent TV. It's an OLED, and on the game you can set it up so that it communicates in a way where, and I know you guys probably know about this, where the side of the screen will blur slightly. It's only
Hmm.
where your eyes are. It enhances it so that the frame rate is it refreshes a little cleaner, and it sacrifices some of the bit rate on the edges, and so
Right.
you're actually in this tunnel, and it's really cool. Like it's getting so close to VR, like it's like it almost looks like reality. It's neat,
Yeah.
really neat. I
That's kind of
recommend
cool
it.
because when you're racing, it's the same thing. The edge vision is not
Hmm.
as sharp as something in the middle, so that's even more realistic.
Just a focal in it. It's like you want to use as much of the processing power focused to where you need to see, which is up the road and not so much the peripheral.
Yeah. So sorry, Gal, we digressed. We were going through the long list of incredible achievements here.
Yeah. What else? TT0, uh, 6 times entered, first, second, third, and fifth. TT0 on the CZ, right? On the CIS,
MotoCzysz
MotoCzysz.
was the first few, and I also did one moto career out of Lake Como, Italy. I rode for their team as well at the end.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So how many laps can you do on the zeros?
It's one.
It's one
It's
lap.
one 38-mile lap and you can't even go flat out or you will run out of batteries. So you're constantly flying like markers. It's like by the eighth mile marker, you got to be at this much percentage and stuff. The Mugens, which did really well later on, which is a factory Honda like satellite thing, they're testing. they're the testing wing of Honda. Anyway, they let their riders go flat out, and they let the engineers worry about where it will be at the end. And at the very
Mhm.
beginning of them competing and entering, like John McGuinness was getting fucking pissed off because he would still have, well, dude, we have 8% battery at the end. Why didn't you give it to me? It's like, well, because we don't want to run out. We have to do so many laps to test it. You can simulate it all you want, but until you get up there. And the thing is, at the end of the lap, there's a big hill, massive, the mountain. And you got to have more than the left of distance. So you have to have
Mhm.
like, you get up to like the 90% mark and you're like, oh, I have 10% left. No, no, no. You need like 19% left to get over the hill, and then you can regen down a little bit because it's downhill. But moral of the story is we had to fly this process to where you would just run out of battery. Literally, as you go across the finish line, you'd want it to be like, but yeah, it's one lap flat out, and it was really fun because there's no vibration and no like, it was just,
Right.
Yeah.
you could hear the tires and you could hear the chain rather, and you could just feel the bumps. There was no vibration, none, and there was no engine braking, and it weighed 600 pounds.
Oh,
It was like a
wow.
gold wing with
Yeah.
no rear brake. Like it's just crazy, but it was really really
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, we won one of those, which was really cool because I have a first place trophy now from the TT, which is the same trophy as the senior. It's not as easy. I mean, we cheated by getting one. It wasn't a senior TT or anything, but we did manage to get a first place trophy.
So besides the silence, what was the difference between riding the electric bike and the uh, gas bike? Just
You couldn't
skill
hold it wide
perspective, how
open.
to.
I mean, I
Hmm.
couldn't. You try to accelerate as well as you can because it's more efficient than holding at high speed. High speed, you lose more per inch per foot than when you
Right.
accelerate. You actually, it's more efficient coming off the corner per kilowatt hours per foot. So we had to sort of learn how to do that. You had to keep your momentum up, just like maybe a 250 or 125, I suppose. There was zero engine braking, but you could dial in the regen, which is adjustable, which in the first year or two was almost deadly because they try to be all clever with the controller, your wrist, and the
Hmm.
controller that then operates this like 1,000 pounds of torque electric engine. That interface is everything. And it wasn't easy for them to understand, well, if we want to come off the corner, we have to dampen down 1,000 pounds of torque down to, let's say, 200. But
Right.
how do we feed it? It's obviously not going to be like, it's got to be like, so it has to ramp up with like all these diodes and all this electronics internally, which had nothing to do with it. It wasn't me, but the brains behind it had to slowly learn how to interface organic to the acceleration and the decel. So on the regen, the first lap I ever did on the MotoCzysz bike, I was coming around, kind of getting a feel for it, and I got off the throttle in the middle of a corner, and the regen went it just went like this, the
Wow.
graph of the regen. So
Mm.
it was and it locked up my back wheel at 65 miles an hour with a cobblestone wall looking at me, and the bike is 600 pounds. Like it's as heavy as a Goldwing. It's like a small car. It's
Ouch.
solid lead, right? So I'm just like test pilot for the Air Force, like I'm fucking totally going to kill myself
No
because
clutch.
we're just learning. We're testing. It's like no, and you can't really test out on a short circuit that easy. You could have done that, but they finished the bike the last week before we had to fly it out there and all that crap. So we had to be very careful. But yeah, you always felt like you're a little bit on an experimental aircraft. To answer your question, riding the electric bikes, they weren't sorted. They were one-off pieces of you know Da
Yeah.
Vinci. This is like
Hmm.
there's only one of these, and no one's ever done. Because actually, when we did the first race in 2009 or whatever it was, maybe it was 2010, that was the first electric race ever on the planet. So it was day one of that technology. And we're doing it at the most dangerous racetrack on the planet with guys that are doing their best. And like it was dodgy, but super rewarding because um, we got to help push the technology, but we also got a lot of engineers and computer nerds on the Isle of Man, which at first all the fans and all the other racers were like, get the fuck off our island, dorks. Like, there's no noise, there's no smell. There's no
Yeah.
petrol. Fuck you guys. You're a bunch of fucking moron. And all the racers like Guy Martin, John McGuinness, even Rudder, not Rudder so much the first, but they're all just going, fuck these guys, fucking guys, fuck you, And some of the bikes were pretty shitty, and some of them, like the one I was lucky enough to be asked to ride, was like aerospace, like it was top of the line. And once we got there and they rolled the bike out and everyone started looking at it, they're like, oh, these are actually pretty cool. And then they saw me like winning and getting on the podium and stuff, and all those fucking guys were like, I want to do that. I want to do that too. Is there, you got an extra bike for me? And it ended up being McGuinness and Rudder and Guy Martin and everybody, Bruce Ansey, everybody got to ride the electric bikes over the next few years and loved it because of how surreal and different it is. Because it's still fast. Like we were doing like 156 mile an hour down Solby Straight, just pushing wind.
Yeah.
And it's just building up with miles per hour with no extra noise. Fuck, dude, this is sick. Like I'm flying. Like I'm still going through the world. Like it's just not going.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
but you're still actually the enjoyment of having all this relative atmosphere going past your ears. So it was extremely cool. And after a while, it was well accepted by the fans too, because it's also cool to have something go by because the bikes got quicker later on at 175 miles an hour. But it's just
Yeah.
it's just different, but it's still two
Fire.
wheels.
Yeah.
It's still two wheels. We still had monoblock Brembo brakes and magnesium wheels, or actually we had to go to forged aluminum because the bikes are so heavy. But anyway, it's still motorcycles. It was just a different power plant.
That MotoCzysz, it started as a regular bike, right? It started
Well,
as,
they did a MotoGP
yeah,
version first,
yeah.
but completely different. Yeah.
Oh, completely different.
didn't.
It wasn't the same chassis or anything, and they just started from scratch when they did the electric one.
I think they used some of the same concepts because Michael Czysz, who passed away unfortunately only a few years after we started
Yeah.
the thing, he had his own proprietary forks, which were shaped in an oval. And so, but we eventually got through that, because it's kind of ego. It's kind of like you're trying to reinvent the world, and then you realize, Jesus, just buy a set of Ohlins. Just fucking buy a set of Ohlins, because they work. You know what I mean? So they just ended up doing that, and but the chassis was made out of carbon fiber, and that was one of the biggest fears at the beginning. Is like they're like, hey, would you like to ride an electric bike? And I'm like, nope. Like one off. Like how the hell do you know how dangerous that track is? Like it's violent. It's like moguls. Like it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's gnarly. And
Right.
even on the gas bikes, the ice bikes, which is internal combustion engine, those bolts will vibrate off all the time. And all the new teams and new mechanics and stuff, and I was like, oh, we don't need to safety wire that. Fuck it. But no, I Loctited it. It's fine. It's like, you have to safety wire it. Well, no, I've done this I've been at this 20 years. Don't tell me what to do. Sure enough, going along, fucking foot peg falls off.
Oh.
Like no foot peg. Like yeah,
Oh,
because
wow.
you didn't safety wire it. We told you it's vibrant. And it's so fast and high speed and violent that when they called me and said, "Would you like to ride an electric bike?" I said, "No, no way, no chance. Not there. Anywhere
Yeah.
but there. Of course, anywhere. I'll go fucking
Right. In
Willow Springs."
retrospect, they should
Yeah.
have picked a track where you have runoffs and to experiment with these things, not
It's it
cobblestone
was
walls.
It's all about being able to get people to invest in the idea and the series and stuff. And the Isle of Man had the profile, so people were to jump on. So the first time though, I went down again at the beginning. I don't know if this thing is made with any kind of like knowledge of forces and bending, and went down to the Bray Hill. At the bottom of Bray Hill, you go,
Yeah.
180 miles an hour. You literally go, oh, and you smash your face on the tank, and the bike will hit the bottom of the ground, and sometimes they'll hit the oil drain plug, or they'll hit your swing arm
Oh,
linkage or
wow.
something. Or your fairings all the time. You always scrape
Yeah.
it. So anyway, I'm going down and I go, please don't go. Please. I'm like,
Don't break.
here we go. Listen, I got to trust these guys. At the end of the day, I'm like, put the visor down. It's like, I got to trust them. I have no choice now. I've already made the decision to go. So let's trust them. Here we go. Bam! It's fucking 600 pounds of weight in that carbon fiber chassis.
Held.
Wow.
It was gnarly, dude. It was fun. It was fun. But that's nothing compared to even like the 1,000 cc. If you get a 1,000 cc super bike around the TT, that's mental.
Yeah.
That's not even 600s. You could do 600s. A lot of people could probably figure out, but 1,000 around there is like just threading, just death. You just
And people don't come back. So it's not just your feelings; it's evidence. So
we had a kid come there once from the States. He was all gung ho and thought he was going to set, like, I don't know, change the world or something. And he ended up puking inside his helmet on the first day, and he quit and then walked away and left.
That tells it all.
Mm.
and then you did the Classic TT F1, entered twice, 5th and 11th. What did you ride?
On the first year, we got fifth out of like 60 starters. We were on an exact replica of a 1986 FZ 750. Eddie Lawson winning Daytona 200 winning bike. It was bolt for bolt, same radiators, same carbs, same, all this kit stuff that Yamaha had back then. The only difference was they had more modern wheels that were magnesium so that we could have 17-inch modern tires, which would you need for safety. So other than the wheels and the tires, the bike had the special forks, the $25,000 magnesium carburetors, the $15,000 radiator, like all the dry clutch, the whole 9 yards was factory Yamaha 750 from 1986, which was cool as F. It's probably the coolest thing I've ever ridden ever, because it was literally like a factory Yamaha when I would have been in high school and would have seen a poster on the wall at the dealership of Eddie Lawson winning the Daytona 200 on that bike. And then like 30 years later, I'm like sitting on one to go, experienced now. And they're like, go race it around the Isle of Man TT against other classics and stuff. It's like so cool. It was flat slides, with accelerated pumps and like the whole thing. It was absolutely cool. We got fifth, dude, out of 60, which, okay, I got to tell you real quick. The guy who designed it from Yamaha, this was his very first ever project out of college. He got hired by Yamaha in Japan. They said, we need a new race bike. This was his very first baby ever. He went on to do Valentino Rossi's 500cc and 1000cc and 800cc winning world championship chassis later. But this was his first one in 86. His retirement party was at the Isle of Man TT for the classic that year when Ferry Brower from the importer of Arrive from Europe had this Yamaha and he wanted to race it against all the other classics. They invited the Japanese engineer on his retirement party to come to the Isle of Man, and to see all the Yamahas that were also racing. There were several, but mine was his first ever 4-stroke, and he got to watch his first project from college ever get raced again in anger, because I was like, oh, I don't want to crash this thing, Ferry. I'm going to just take it easy. He says, no. You ride this thing as hard as you can. F it. That's what it's for. Like this thing is a real race bike, and I want to beat the Suzuki Classic team. Fuck those guys. I want you to beat those guys. He's like, go. I'm like, okay, it's on. Like now you got no, I've been given the blessing. So I rode it as hard as I could, and it actually worked very, very well. But when I came across the finish line and got fifth, the only bikes that beat us were like a couple of ZX7s, like like an OW01 or something that was much, much newer technology than this 86. You remember 86 was like the first BFR, the FZ. They were not what they were in 91.
Yeah, the OWs were, I think, 2000 or actually 99 or 98, 97, 96.
Well, no, we were racing against like 91s and 1991 stuff, and we were 86. So that was it. Even that 4 years or something, like it went from the first day ever of modern day super bikes with headlights on them and mirrors to like a ZX7, which was proper 17-inch wheels stuff. Anyway, the Japanese engineer cried tears when he saw his bike, in the top 5 of this thing being raced many, many years later. But I thought it was really special because he was also retiring, which is probably emotional. Like I'm at the end. That's the beginning. That's the bike that started it all when I was this little punk, skinny little kid in Japan. Now I'm this old man at my retirement party surrounded by all these old people just like me. And we're all like, look different probably. And I'll have gray hair and I'm about to go and play golf the rest of my life with my wife that I don't like or something. I'm joking. But like to see his original bike, I think, and also
she's not in the house right now, is she?
My wife?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear her. She is trying to get out of here. She's in the kitchen. I can hear her, but
how's the feeling?
Legendary.
How's the feeling of those flat slides carburetors versus fuel injected bikes? What do you like more?
very trippy. The second time we did the classic TT was on a ZX7 with flat slides, and it was exactly the same thing, which is you can't go like that. They
A choke.
you
Yeah.
flood it
Yeah.
because they have accelerator pumps. They
Mm.
shoot when you twist it. They shoot extra bits, and they have tall first gears. So on a ZX7 was funny. One of my first real race bikes. So I started on a VFR 750. This very first real race bike was a ZX7. I think it was in 91. And when I got asked in 2015, like as many years later, to ride another ZX7, as soon as you get on it, you're like, huh, I remember this. Like I remember the shape of the tank. I remember the seat, the height of the seat to the relative geometry and the ergonomics and stuff. But then once you start riding it really hard and getting, I was like, dude, I rode a 91 and a 93. So for like 3 years, I rode a ZX7 from Kawasaki. Well, now 30 years later, 25 years later, I'm on a ZX7 again in anger. And you're like, I know what this bitch likes. Like, I know, like it's like you're shagging your old college girlfriend. You're like, I know exactly what she likes, like how to tickle her and stuff. And the flat slides were funny because it's a tall first gear and you go into like the hairpin, like the Ramsey hairpin, you got to kind of slip
Mhm.
the clutch. You got to be careful. It'll just fall down if you don't go boom, boom, boom. And plus the old ZX7 is like the throatiness of the firing order or the bore and stroke with those flat slides is just different than these today's bikes are just really crisp and perfectly atomized. These things have like pilot jets and like, MJNs, or they've got, main jets and stuff, needles and stuff. So it's totally different sound and it's different vibrate. There's more vibration in the bars. But yeah, the flat side, you got to be very careful because you got to like keep the RPMs up. Otherwise it'll just flood the intake with brr.
Yeah.
I did
Right.
blow one up. One of them grenaded right on the front straightaway and put that green Motul oil all over everything. And I mean, my feet were out, and I'm just going, "Oh, just stop the bike," like without it just spinning around. But yeah, one of them did grenade on us.
Oh. And then you did the Northwest 200, which is
Mm,
also a crazy race, crazy
yeah.
race because over there, if anybody ever watched it on TV, you got electrical posts there, and it seems on TV even narrower than the Isle of Man. So
The,
how's
the,
racing that?
I only did it once because it scared me so much that I didn't go back. It's a mass start. It's not timed. It's like Macau. The Macau Grand Prix is also a mass start, which it's similar. It's just crazy the first lap because you're not only is it a mass start with telephone poles in people's front yards, and literally you could go into somebody's door, like front door to their house, if you go offline or get bumped or something. But a lot of the kids that are racing there, obviously it's the same guys at the front as the TT, so the top names. But there's a lot of guys just behind that group that this is their World Cup. Like they wait all year. They've been racing these little roads races all over Ireland and whatnot, and they get to the Northwest with 100,000 fans watching, and they're like, "Stay out of my way, get out of my, I'm coming through. Like I'm gonna finish in the top 20, motherfucker. You're like, if this kills me." It's like, yeah, if it kills me too, because they were just I mean, everybody's safe and stuff, but it was aggressive, and the fact that there was zero runoff and people are trying to outbreak you and stuff was just like, I'm just not brave enough. I just wasn't brave enough. I did, we did all right, but it scared me. I'm like, I don't want to do this. It's too much. It's at least with the TT, you do come across people and pass them quite often. Once in a while, you get passed, although it's rare that you get passed by somebody because typically they set off the fastest guys sort of in succession, and you're almost
Mhm.
always going to just improve as opposed to there's nobody else behind you that will really pass you. But at the Northwest, it was like it's just gnarly. And the thing is too is there's 200 plus mile an hour straightaways at the Northwest in the multiple bike drafts. You can have 9 guys, 7 guys drafting each other. And of course, as you draft, you get the toe, you get some buffeting and stuff, and you just slingshot around them. But then someone else is doing it behind you. So you could have 3 or 4 guys coming up to, let's say, the leader of the pack. And then you pass them, and then they pass you, and of course there's all this wind going on. Everything is you can literally move you a half a foot and stuff, and it's at 202 miles an hour. It's just
Wow.
crazy. And I was just like, and plus I like a lot of guys like Simon Andrews got killed there, Mark Buckley got killed there, was my teammate. Um, uh, Michael Dunlop's sorry, yeah, Michael Dunlop's father, Robert, got killed there. And this is all after I started to hang out with that crowd. And they were just like kind of like fuck that, dude. It's just too crazy. At least with the TT, it's timed and you can sort of it's you against the track. It's you against the track for the most part, and you can. That's fun to me because it's like I used to love qualifying. I used to qualify really well and get like track records and pole positions, like even with Nicky Hayden in the race and stuff. Like I'd always like qualify really well, but then I had no racecraft. Like that kid's been racing since he was 4, so he would always
Mm.
like be better in the race. But I could do one lap. Well, the TT is one lap at a time. It's because it's fun because you say start finish line, you're like start the clock, and then you just try to connect everything, and you're like come around like here we go, stop the clock. Like how'd I do? It's like yeah, I improved. That's so fun. It's not just sort of like waiting as slow as you possibly can to win and then like zap him and then maybe let him do the hard work or make you do it. You know what I mean? Like that's different.
I like
And
it how
to
you
me, when you
try. I like it how you try to, justify and say the TT is safe compared to.
it's just less of the human factor.
Level of craziness.
and then you did Macau too. 17 times entered, fourth, third, sixth, and sixth. My
Mm.
first time, my first introduction to Macau is I opened the TV one time on Eurosport, uh,
Mhm.
and there was someone lying in the middle of a road, uh, clearly dead because they went into a wall, and it said at the top of the screen Macau Grand Prix, and I was like, oh. So
Yeah.
Was it a motorcycle racer
a
died?
motorcycle, yeah. So they just missed a turn, went straight into a concrete wall. So in Macau, there's no pubs and posts and anything else. It's just walls, right?
It's lined in Armco, which there's a couple there's only like 2 places on there where you can escape down a little chute, like an escape. But it's basically if you crash, you're bouncing off of Armco, which believe it or not, there's only been a couple fatalities there to be fair. When I was there 17 years and there was only 3 fatalities as far as I remember in that entire thing. Whereas at the TT, 1 year you could have 6, 1 year you could have 1 year you could have 3, but they average 2 to 3 a year. At Macau, it's almost never. But at least you know that if you do crash at Macau, you're going to have all the pieces in one place. You're basically going to be intact. You might be worse for wear. You might die. You may not. There was a couple really bad injuries at Macau where somebody went into the Armco and it split their legs were like this, and it split their in the middle under their ball sack. So
Oh wow.
their hips they got separated at the bottom of your body. So that's the kind of injuries that you can live through, but it's not a fun flight home, for 17 hours back to the UK or something. But the moral of the story is at least you wouldn't really go splatter if you hit a telephone pole, which is what I almost did at the TT. You're in 5 pieces. Like the bike that I was riding hit the pole and it was in 4 huge pieces, and there's been people decapitated and different things, and you just wouldn't get that at Macau. So at least you got that going for you. And if you hit it just right, you might actually ricochet and be okay. Do you know what I mean? It's just not poles. It's
Yeah.
flat walls. So that's a little bit different.
So you kind of slide vertically.
It's cool though. The only hard part is learning is that it's so blind because you can't see. It's literally you're going around Armco walls like this, and you have to know which way it goes to go quick. To go quick, if you want to go fast, you have to know it goes left, then right, right, left, 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 right, right, left, right, left, open, down, right, right, right. You have to know to anticipate because you have to exit shallow to hit the next, to exit shallow to exit shallow to hit the next. It's a lot of fun if you like technical stuff.
Do you
And
ever
like we
sit?
did,
Do you ever sit on the plane on the way back and just go, stewardess, I'll have another, please, and just go like, oh my
have,
god.
Have another drink.
Yeah.
That's the night after our race. It's on. I mean, at Macau, matter of fact, I met Kevin Schwantz one year. He was there for like the 50th anniversary. He's one of the only Americans to win it. I think he's the only American to win it. He came over just as a guest to be sort of there for like an anniversary, and him and I ended up closing down the place. But it was a night before the race, which I'm not that bright, so I was sucked into this thing. It's like it's Kevin Schwantz, man, and him and I ended up becoming short time buddies, and literally seeing the night till they closed the bar in Macau, which is probably, I mean, it wasn't 9 a.m. It wasn't Thailand, but it's like pretty late. And we were the last two standing. And then I had to race the next morning at like 7 a.m. or something. But moral of the story is the night after the Macau race, everybody lets their hair down because it's also the end of the season. So all the BSB guys and all this and all the Italians and all the Germans and all the Americans and stuff, you come out there and you're done. The season's done. This is like November or October, the end of October. So your season's done. So, people are like pulling out the fags and stuff. Everyone's smoking cigarettes and stuff. Like kind of, it's like, oh fuck it, have me too, and everybody just like, because you're not playing the corporate game. You're at the end of the year. You're in the Las Vegas of Asia. So if there's some debauchery and some stuff, although it's gotten much cleaner over the years. It used to be, what is it, a mafia with like Russian girls and like everything everywhere. And then they started cleaning up and all the hotels got expanded and new hotels, new buses and new taxis. It used to be the Wild West. First year I went was 89 and 90, 90, 90, 90, 98, 97. Anyway, um, but there's a lot of heavy drinking and stuff because at the end of the year and nobody's saving themselves for the season anymore. It's like a big exhale, not only for the surviving the Macau race, but for surviving the whole year of professional racing usually.
Yeah, that video of Schwantz out there in Macau, I think it's still on YouTube, and it's just him pulling wheelies and looking back.
Yeah. Yeah. There was nobody even close. I mean, he was on a 500, CC factory fucking Suzuki, but he's good people.
And then you went and you did something safe, like the 100th anniversary Pikes Peak.
Yeah, I did Pikes Peak once. That was really interesting, really cool. Pretty dangerous. Like, oh, Pikes Peak, how adorable. It's real.
Compared to the Northwest.
No, it's nothing like that. It's a different thing. The organizers are less experienced because it's like this one-off thing. It's mostly cars or mostly privateers. It's a little bit of eh, they're trying, but the TT it's because there's so many competitors and it's been going for 111 years or something, and there's um, the attention to detail of the TT is second to none. There are people on staff that do nothing but prepare the track for the next year, and they try to make it a little bit safer, a little bit smoother, a little bit faster, a little bit this or whatever. With the Pikes Peak, it was just almost like, oh yeah, we got 3 weeks from Pikes Peak. We got to start thinking about organizing the whole thing and like putting on this whole thing again. But it's just a bunch of people doing it as a hobby. And so the problem is that when you're on a motorcycle, you're going up to 14,000 feet. 14,000 feet is high. Like you almost need oxygen up there when you stop. But you could fly off a cliff, which has happened, which is why they stopped the bike racing. But the other thing is it's very, very cold at times. There's literally snow on the ground that motorcycles are supposed to race around with racing tires at
Yeah.
7 in the morning, and they would send up the bikes first instead of having the car send up and clean up the track and let the temperature rise like till later in the rotation.
Yeah, and
Let the bikes go
at
up
least put some rubber
three
up
hours.
there. Yeah.
Like, well, let's send the bikes up first. Like, it's 6:30 in the morning, guys. There's fucking snow on the ground. We don't
Right.
have four tires. So the whole thing was a clusterfuck, but it was beautiful and very, very cool. And I'm glad I did it. And I wish if they didn't ban the bikes, I probably would have sort of refocused to say, right, let's do this right and see if we can't win it and actually be the fastest ever American to do Pikes Peak on two wheels, because that would be kind of fun to be able to do. And it would be a challenge. And right now Rennie's got it. And Carlin Dunn had it before that, who got killed there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But Carlin was on a good pace to do it. But you gotta finish the lap. But unfortunately, they have killed the bikes. They have done they've nixed the bikes right when I probably maybe could have had more time to try it a little deeper.
Yeah.
But it's really fun. It's very beautiful because, like I said, you're out in the middle of Colorado and you're going up this 14,000 feet. The view is it's one of the tallest mountains in the world. One of them, right?
Yeah. And it's a race that photographs very well too.
It's almost like you change from different planets too. Like you start at one altitude and it's green and lush and kind of dry and cool and fun. Then you like get into the second stage and it becomes a little bit of a hybrid. Then you get up high, you're like on Mars. Like there's no vegetation. It's just red and big rocks. You're like on a different planet. It's gorgeous, absolutely stunning. But yeah, it's really different because of the height.
And then you found, between all of that, you found time to race in AMA. And
I did most
you
of the AMA stuff before.
before. And then you
Yeah.
just went like, AMA is not, it's just not fast enough for me. I need something faster. And then you went to road
No,
racing.
no, we didn't. We were there when like Miguel was winning, and you had all the Steve Creviers and the Pascals and the Aaron Yates and the Steve uh, Smiths, or what is it, Mike Smith, um, Jason Pridmore. I think Josh Hayes was just arriving. Nicky Hayden was just arriving. Ben and Eric Bostrom were new, very handsome, very fit, and they kind of um, brought some color to the series. But Troy Corser was coming by, Troy Bayliss was coming by. Again, Fogarty was at the Daytona 200. Daytona Scott Russell had just gone to Europe and come back for a couple Daytonas and a couple one-offs and stuff with Rob Muzzy and Miguel, as mentioned. It was just Jamie Hacking. I don't know if you guys know that
Yeah.
era, but
Yeah, yeah.
I found
It's
I all of a sudden
very,
sound like
very
some old
deep.
guy.
Yeah, it's a very deep grid that I don't think, well, we're starting to have today in the modern era, but we didn't have that kind of grid, I think, for 20 years.
Yeah, I think '08 till a couple of years ago was pretty dead.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool, man. It was fun because we ended up it ended up, like I was Graves Yamaha's first AMA rider ever, as Chuck retired from riding himself and was doing the exhaust systems, and I was like his first rider ever. And then we went on to, attack with Stamboli, and we did Erion Honda, Kerry Andrews with the Hypercycle at one point. So I was like this total street squid, nobody who went club racing, did pretty well at Southwest region, and then got offered a couple free bikes from Suzuki one at the end of one thing. And next thing you know, I had two free motorcycles in the crate, and they're like, "Oh, we'll get you 175 free tires, and we'll get you 35 grand worth of parts at our importer's cost from Suzuki. So you have brake levers and different things, and extra spare gas tanks and extra wheels. And then all you have to do is drive the bikes, do the rest of it." So we went from street squid to club racer, 2 years, amateur, expert, free bikes, AMA, and then by the third year, I was in a semi truck. So it was, I'm not marquee, I'm not fucking famous at all, but it was fun to just have the experience of being like, you know, Jason Pridmore was my teammate at one point, and then Curtis Roberts and Nicky Hayden, Roger Lee Hayden, Josh Hayes, but we were racing against, and then Hopkins came in. John Hopkins was sort of later, and so we were all just, and we would I'd pretty much podium every weekend. I mean, that I finished, I would either get like a second or third, but I won one, but I would had to race against Nicky Hayden, Josh, and Curtis Roberts, and they would, and Eric Bostrom, and those guys are just better than me. Like they had more experience. I was like on my third year of racing ever, and I know nothing about nothing. But I was good enough to just say, well, if I could just get on the podium, I get a trophy. I know it's a little smaller, but at least I get to go to the after party. So I would fight really hard for third. But first was such a bigger leap because those guys are hungry because they were going to be MotoGP world champion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they were doing
So,
it since
but
they
it was
were
fun.
3 years old. So
Yep. But it's cool. I got
So
a lot
what's
of good
a
memories.
what's your craziest story from your racing days? Either a racing event or post racing or pre racing.
Craziest?
I'd say drinking with Kevin Schwantz.
No, that was cool. He's just like Scott Russell or even like Colin Edwards. They're just totally normal state of, Texas guys, Scott Russell was always my hero. Like he was the guy I would see um from a distance at first and watching on TV like ESPN2 or something. And then I got to the track to do an AMA race or something and I saw him with my own eyes. I'm like, oh, that's Scott Russell. Scott Russell, that's him. That's really him. Wow. Yeah. And then later on, we became friendly, became buddies, and we got to hang out and drink beers and up at his hotel room having some beer way later, just one on one. And then we went to race in Belgium. We were teammates, American teammates on the Supermoto for Mete Superbikers, which is Supermoto half street, half dirt. But Chris Carr, myself, Mike Metzger, the guy that does backflips from he was on the team. So we all got to go over and Scott was on the team. And so, dude, I'm just like, I can't believe the guy even knows my name. I can't believe Kevin Schwantz knows my name. It's like a little fly on the wall. Like I feel like Forrest Gump, like I was just there, just right there, and then right there, right there. Not actually, nobody notices, but I get to watch everybody else. I'm just fast enough to get access.
we have a few questions now. How are we on time? We went through this. MotoCzysz tried to put the US on the map with sport bikes. Talk about the operation they had, Michael Czysz, the vision, the transition between electrical, regular engines, a little bit about the man and his vision.
Michael Czysz was an architect for the stars. Like he would do the kitchen for um, some famous actors and that type of stuff. But he was really interested in the motorbike stuff. Long story short, he had a really cool shop that was modern in Bend, Oregon, or close to Bend. It might not have been Bend, but it was in Oregon. And got a big CNC machine and had engineers on staff. He's really smart. I love talking to the guy. We'd go to grab a quick, curry or something on the Isle of Man, and he would have these napkins out with these Sharpies and just showing me all these graphs. And like, I got a bachelor of science in the science, like in aeronautical stuff. So I'm used to that kind of shit, but I don't know that much about it. I'm not super great at it, but I have experience with it. And he used to just go graph after graph, say, well, this is why this is. So anyway, super cool. He never drank, never smoked, and he got cancer on his throat all of a sudden. And then he's like, oh, I'm sick. I'm like, what? And he's like, got this thing. I'm like, oh, yeah. And then he calls me up and says, hey, you want to come hang out with me in Oregon? I'm having a tough time because there were some troubles with his wife or something. And I'm like, wow, I'm really busy right now, but maybe again. And of course, he died like shortly after. And I'm like,
Oh wow.
yeah, I was one of his good friends in the racing circles. I was his pilot for all of this hard work that he put in for years, like 4 something years. I was like his first rider um, to exploit this shit, all the hard work here. I was the one that got to take it and use it. So we were pretty close. And I didn't go and see him, and he died so shortly after. I'm like, idiot. I mean, drop what you're doing and go see your friend. So I always felt bad about that. But anyway, yeah, Michael says, just one of those smart guys that you just wish you could be more like, and have more friends like him surrounding you, and maybe it would make your life a little better too because but they're so rare. But he's legit, like fully. He made a fucking motorcycle that could go around the Isle of Man with an electric motor and a controller and not break apart. And you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
who does that?
yeah,
Right.
yeah. And a
He
MotoGP
made,
bike.
yeah, he had two crankshafts. One they would counter rotate like this.
Yeah.
And Jeremy McWilliams tested it and said it worked really, really well, but he couldn't get the money, the backing, apparently. There's a really cool movie called Fast Charge. Charge is a movie that
You were on
was
it.
made by Mark. Yeah, I was on it, but Mark Neal made it about kind of Michael Siss's journey on the Zero bike, and it's just a good film. It's actually really funny. There's some good characters in it. Cedric.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Gal, you skipped a good question I usually like to ask, which is, how do you prep as a racer, mentally and physically?
Cars Light.
No, no, I drink a lot less these days because my wife doesn't really approve. So I have to. I'm making an excuse. I'm like, hey, dude, dude, we sip. I thought I saw that you'd sipped on something with Colin Edwards, and I'm like, it'd be an excuse. She couldn't, smack me on the back of the head, and say, "You're not supposed to be drinking." Like, yeah, no,
Yeah, maybe
I'm
we should
a.
make this mandatory, Gal. Every podcast you have to be drinking. Give people
I
an
honestly
outlet.
the prep is just to ride as much as you possibly can. Like find something inexpensive, like dirt track. Like we used to go to Eighth Mile at Ken Maley's ranch up in Corona, and just throw some knobbies on the thing and put a gallon of gas in there and just ride around and do all. Me and Steve Rapp and Roland Sands and sometimes the Bostroms and sometimes the Haydens and Larry Pegram and different people would come out and would all just chase each other around. But it didn't cost anything and you would almost never get hurt. Chris Ulrich was another one that used to come out and do that stuff with us, John Hopkins. But a lot of guys would do the motocross, which can be dangerous, which I did do. And I shattered my hand 2 weeks before starting the season with Erion Honda with Jake Simke as my teammate. But I had a titanium plate and all this put in, and that was from motocross.
Mm.
Just landed on my friend, crossed underneath me, blah blah blah. But I would say ride as much as you can. Also, I rode on the canyons a lot. I started off riding on the public roads really fast,
Mulholland.
and to the yeah, I like so I used to live in Long Beach, California, and I used to ride up here to like the Piuma and stunt and Mulholland and stuff. But now that I live in Calabasas, the reason why I live here is because I've got the canyons right here, and I can go out my driveway and do a 100-mile loop real quick and come home and not see the same exact stretch of road. And if you go from Monday through Thursday after 10 a.m. and before 2 p.m., there's zero cars, zero cops, zero. It's just a racetrack. So for the TT, I would go out and I would always try to get nearly the same bike that I was about to race. If it was a Suzuki GSX-R 1000, I would get one of those on the street. If it was an EBR, 1190 RS or whatever, I would get one of those, a press bike or something. And I would put similar tires. If it was Dunlop or Metz or Pirelli or whatever, I would have very similar tires. And I would just go ride every day on the local canyon roads or also up near Angeles Crest, but also Big Tahunga and
Mm.
some other ones that isn't so well used, like some of the more rogue where there's virtually nobody
Yeah.
and you just go out there and I mean full knee scraping. The tires would last
Do,
3 days at the most, like
do you know
you
one
constantly.
time I was in Big Tahanga and I did the entire loop and then like 1 mile before it was closed and I had to go back.
Do
There was a big
you have enough
boulder.
fuel?
There was a big boulder. I did run out of fuel, but they just closed the road.
I just think riding is really good. Also, we were in the gym for 4 hours a day, every day, which I'm like, I see a gym now and I'm just like, ugh, like I'm just over the gym because you literally, and what sucks is you push yourself. You're like, oh, I bet you if you did, three more sets of that for 30 reps each or something, you'd feel good about yourself. And so then you couldn't leave without doing it.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't leave, then you'd be like, well, I'm doing less than I'm probably capable of. But what's really cool about that whole thing is that you have a goal. You actually have a carrot, which is I have a date. I said I have to be at Brainerd, Minnesota on this date, and you work backwards from there. So it's so fun to work towards something. And then once you get there, if you have a team and stuff, like they've been working also on their own over here on the bikes, and then they have to load the truck, and they're driving the truck when maybe you're leaving or they're on a flight or otherwise. But you have a goal, you have something to look forward to and work towards, and that always made the gym a lot more fun and stuff. It's just because you're like, I want to show up that much. And I honestly, the more physically fit you are, the easier it is to ride the bike fast. You just because that will not hinder you. And if you work just a little harder than the next guy, a little more hustle than the next guy, you know that you're at the last. I was always quicker later in the race because I would warm up and cool down, and meaning mentally and relax a little bit. But physically, I could get quicker at the end. I wouldn't get more tired. I'd get looser and have the
Mm.
strength because of all the hard work back at the gym for 4 hours a day sets you up to be able to use your brain to want to put the bike where it is, but your body's not going to be like, I quite don't have that strength to keep flicking it so fast. Things like Anthony Gobert used to just change direction so quick, and that you could see that would make up time. and there's some footwork there. There's some different ways to get a bike to change direction. But you
Wasn't
always
he
see some
wasn't
of the
he
slower
terribly out of
guys.
shape at the end? He was just too fat. He couldn't fit into his letters here, and he
Yeah,
still won races.
yeah. I know when he was around our series, he was riding motocross a lot. I rode with him and his brothers a couple times with the Hopkins, and he was physically fit. He wasn't fat. I don't know
Okay.
what happened later, but
Drinking.
he was a yeah, of course, all of it,
Yeah.
all of that stuff,
Yeah.
drinking and other things. But you know that he passed away, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
About a
He
year
did not
ago.
look good. He did
But
not look good. But he was one of these stocky, kind of like a Michael Dunlop. He's just a thick dude, and I think it would be quite easy for him to gain weight later in the years, just from his body type. But just the point of it was just that if you can like change direction or brake deeper, which is also takes strength to stay up on the bike, and if you're fatigued, you're like, oh, fucking tired. You just maybe not going to brake quite as deep, can then work like work the body and work the bike to make the corner and stuff. You don't have that physical fitness strength. You just cannot do it as you have to. It's lazier, you're not going to be as precise. So
I actually
yeah,
started an
just
experiment about 6 months ago where I just don't go to the gym anymore. I stopped my gym membership, and all I do is jiu-jitsu 4 times a week.
mm,
Instead of
crazy.
twice a week in the rest gym, I'll do jiu-jitsu 4 times a week. And then I got it's kind of like the Peloton, but it's a different type of bike that Nordic track, and it goes up and down like a hill. So it has a little electric motor, and
Hmm.
when the instructor goes uphill, the bike just moves up, and the instructor goes downhill, the bike moves down. And I do that every day in the morning when I wake up. So 5 a.m.,
Wow.
half an hour on the bike, and then jiu-jitsu in the afternoon. And
Mhm.
no weights work. I
Yeah.
don't go to the gym, and I'll see in a year how my body's going to look like and how my riding is going to be compared to going to the gym doing bodybuilder style workouts. So we'll see how
Where are
that's
you
going.
riding currently? Are you doing Vegas or
Uh,
WSMC stuff?
no,
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 that's
no,
fine.
no. I'm too old, and my bikes are too expensive. So I do the track days with Dale,
Hmm.
because it's in the middle of the week. It's expensive. Not a lot of people show up, and he needs to know you and approve you. So it's not, and there's no sessions. So I think for me it's ideal because you just come in, you ride as much as you can ride. There's a lot of good riders around, and you just have fun in Chakwala.
Hmm.
And then
Very cool.
hopefully Imad from Fast Track Rider is gonna post a schedule for 25. So we'll see. We'll see what kind of track days are there. But really, Fast Track Riders and Dale's private track days, I think are the best for me at least.
What's your favorite
Yeah,
bike at the
you
moment?
tend to have better riders, less crashes or zero crashes,
Yeah,
and which is biggest worry is I like to ride with a zone of bubble of safety
yeah,
Mm.
because I want to be in the office Monday morning, and last thing you want is some crazy guy just T-boning you on a turn
yeah,
because they think they're winning a trophy, and
Yeah.
there's a few track days out there where they just it's kind of crash galore.
yeah. Back in the day, I used to
But
do WSMC, um, 2010, 2011. And then it was just track days. Life takes you into different directions. If you're not actually getting paid riding motorcycles, it's pretty difficult
mm,
uh, to keep just financially and time constraints. It's pretty difficult to keep with a schedule of riding a motorcycle all the time. At least
hmm
for me. So
hmm
WSMC, I think I did one Wira race, and that was it. But as far as my motorcycles, I think Nabil's got more, right? How many motorcycles do you have right now, Nabil?
Like 10-ish. But that run, I don't know because I don't turn them on for 6 months and I gotta go and clean up the fuel systems and all that
hmm
stuff. But
Hmm.
but I'm not riding them. That's the issue.
Okay. So I have two right now. I just sold my 750. I had a 2023 750 that I bought just to because I was waiting for Kerry to finish my 1000. I'm running the 1000, the GSXR that Kerry built for me, and I'm also trying to ride my new toy, which is the Bimota KB4 that I bought. So I
Very
think I'll
cool.
take it. I think I'll take the Bimota to Dale's track day on October 16 and 17. So I don't know if Nabil, you're in.
It'll be good weather. Yeah, I'm very tempted. I'm gonna check on the KTM. I think it should be fine, and we'll go there.
Okay.
Good weather,
Yeah.
not 120.
So what do you have in the garage, Mark?
Let's see. The wife has got a Ducati 848. She also has a Supermoto, a WR 250, which is a four-stroke 250 street bike with 17-inch wheels spoked. That's her too. My favorite ride is I have an older Tuono, which is a
Mhm.
2010 Rotex
I
powered.
was going to ask you about that Tuono and the record you set with it at the hill climb in Mexico.
Mm. Oh, that was fun. Yeah, Baja, California, Mexico. That was insane. It was 115 corners, and we took the street bike out, but we put bodywork on it, lightened it up a little bit from distant lights and stuff, and then 100% tie bolts, lighter forged aluminum wheels, got the motor out, and we put lighter pistons and tie rods. No, not tie, Carrillo, which were lighter. They're forged, and blueprinted it. And I don't know, there's some process where you can make it slippery or more slippery. Anyway, we just wanted it to be more reliable because we're going to be revving the shit out of it. We found this 5% oxygenated fuel from Torco. Torco? Is that the right
Mhm.
name? So it wasn't too much. It wasn't like some of the VP stuff that's like crazy, and it wasn't just pump gas or ab gas. It was like a little bit of oxygen for the altitude because we had to go up to about 10,000 feet. But we tested it all. And we went out there and did all this recon and all this stuff, and we took it seriously because it had been a few years since I really raced in anger, and I thought, hey guys, let's just do this Baja thing. Like, why not just go after Carlin Dunn, who had the record at the Pikes Peak? That was something that he had also had the record, and he had just got killed. And I'm like, and I knew him, a little. And I'm like, oh fuck, dude, it's so sad. And I just felt really bad. I thought, but he's got that record down there. And I thought we could bring him alive by going after that record. In my heart, it's like it'll bring him back because we're competing. He's competing to save it, and I'm competing to get it. And it's like, you're back, dude. Like I'm coming after your time, motherfucker. You're alive again. Like in my head, that's how I felt about it. So we thought, well, why not just use the Tuono we already had instead of going? Because, dude, all it is a phone call to Ducati or a phone call to Aprilia, and be like, "Hey, man, like, can I come see you and or whatever? I'll bring you some French fries and butter them up." And go, "I'd really like to do this thing. Could you give me a bike?" And maybe, and they're like, "Yeah, I guess maybe we could give you a bike, but I'm going to send you there with a box fan, and oh hell, I'm going to send you Barry and Fabrizio, and I'm going to send. Oh fuck it, we're going to send you four guys with the whole crew, and the next thing the whole thing is like a big deal. Like, right? I didn't want to do that. I thought
It's
I want to be
awesome.
out the back of the van. I just want to do this. I want to do my bike and use my own friends from the United States because I've been racing in the UK and stuff for so long that most of my buddies were actually English. And I didn't have a lot of current friends that had done any racing with me because I hadn't been racing in the AMA or Moto America for years. So I was like, why don't we just get our little crew together, take a couple vans and caravan down there like the old days, like the old club racing days. Anyway, sorry for the long story, but we took my own bike, take the motor out, lighten it up a little bit internally, tie bolts, got on a recon, videotaped it, and then I did something kind of different, which is they only had a couple onboard camera views of the whole thing because it's 115 corners, and the whole game is to know where you're going. Like that's how you go fast on a road race, like on a hill climb or the TT or anything else, is to know where you're going because you can hold the gas a little later, barrel brake in, you know where it's going to end up, and you can go with confidence through a blind corner and know exactly it goes over the rise. You can hit it at a certain mile an hour. If you don't know where you're going, you're just really like, or you're going to just crash. And so many guys crashing and stuff. Moral of the story is got an onboard camera thing from a car that was perfect. It was 1080p, boom, ripped it off of YouTube or something, changed the audio from the car to Carlin Dunn's one run, which had the shift points, sped it up to the point where I thought I could probably go, which is, let's say, 30 seconds faster than he went. But I'm using the visual from the car using his audio for shift points, and I sped them both up to match exactly where it would have been. And it turned out that it was perfectly exactly what I did once I got there, is I beat the record by 30 seconds. I think it was 20 or 30, and knew where I was going, had my own personal bike. It didn't break, it went quick. And yeah, we beat the second place guy by like 20 something seconds, which is a
20,
guy from Northern
20,
Ireland who's did
yeah.
28.
So
Yeah, it's fun.
you broke the record by 28 seconds with a time of 14:30.
Yeah. But even more importantly is I got my I got my wife there, and I got some local buddies and new friends and older friends from California and stuff that we all got to do it together. And I think we all had a good time. And it was when he said the time, I knew we were doing well because we had posted the first day, second day, like the different practices. I was right at the record, and then I was actually below the record, but it was unofficial, so it doesn't count.
Mhm.
But I thought if we could just get one run uh, clean, we should get the record. But the first run of the two that counted, a farmer who couldn't give a shit about the closed road, he brought his truck out on the racetrack, head on collision. You were using the whole road, both directions, both lanes and stuff. And they're coming around the corner, and somebody who was helping out Pedro, the organizer, is just going, stop, stop. And I'm like, oh fuck, what? And he pulled over, went back. He says, they've called it. They stopped this run because there's a fucking farmer on the track. And sure enough, you could see him in the dust. It's like, can you imagine coming around thinking, I know this track. I've practiced this for a year. I got my bike. I got all my friends. And you come around the corner, and there's a fucking pickup truck
Oh,
full of hay.
oh.
And you just smash it. Like, you're like, dumb. And you're in the middle of nowhere. There's no internet. There's no electricity for an hour away in every direction. We are in the middle of the Wild West with, these tumbleweeds going across the track. Sick. It was like out of a movie, like a Wild West movie. But how fun, right? And it's super beautiful. But we ended up doing the second run, so we all had to queue up again. Like, just do a clean run. Fucking nailed it, nailed it, nailed it. Just, and then there's really tight at the top, and it was like just trying to. And that little twin, it's a 998cc Rotax twin. It's a V60, and it has this beautiful mid range. It doesn't have any on top. It doesn't have it super low, but it has this like third gear right in between corners. And I had the monoblocks with the big master and everything. All came the big rotors, so you could slow it down and accelerate it like almost like I think even better than any modern like V4 Aprilia or Ducati Street Fighter. It just has this wonderful grip, the way that the V60 pulses. Like, it has this, and I was just when it came across the line later that night. Everybody had a few beers and stuff. He's going through 10th place, ninth place, and they come to me, and it's like, oh, cool, I did get it. Nobody snuck in there. Said in first place, Mark Miller, and he's like, and he said, with a time of, and everyone's just kind of looking, me and my motor guy and my other, it's like, 14:30, 30. It wasn't 15:10. It wasn't 15 flat. It wasn't 14:48. It was 14:30. And that was 28 seconds under the record, which isn't a long time, even, so we all just kind of were like, look, we did 28 seconds, guys. Like, that was like
with a
a really big
12-year-old
deal.
with a 12-year-old motorcycle.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would love for Rennie or somebody to take Ducati down there with them, or Aprilia rather, and go and try to break it, because I would love to see somebody beat that time, because it was just a really clean run. I don't know if it could be done. Of course it could be done. It can always be done. But I just would defy anybody to try, because we put in maximum effort.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
Come on.
Challenge is out there.
All right.
I would love to go back and do it again.
You throw it out there. People are listening. So.
Yeah, we're gonna send this to Jason Chinook and the Aprilia guys and see who bites.
And if they do it, maybe we'll go back.
Non sequitur, Gal. I haven't seen you taking one sip since we started.
Oh,
I think
sorry.
that's a long lap penalty or
Sorry.
two, at least.
Ooh. Chug.
Yeah.
What kind of work do you do, young man, at the bottom of the screen?
Yeah. Was Gal the young man here, or?
You.
Oh, me. Well,
Yeah.
I run a company that does
Nabil.
bank software. So we actually help other companies who want to become digital banks to become that with minimal investment and a very short period of time. So you probably heard of Chime. They're making a lot of advertisement lately because now they have they give you your wage in advance of you collecting your paycheck if you need a loan. which is a great feature that I admire them for doing this. But it's very expensive and complicated to do so, to build a company like that. So we do everything for companies that want to become something like that. I've been in completely boring financial services,
We just lost. We
technology
just
for all
lost
my
half our
life.
listeners.
Yeah, now you'd have to cut one in half
Yeah.
to get to 50% down.
Do you watch the All In podcast by chance, Nabil?
No, I don't. What's the all
Mm.
in?
They're like four billionaires from the old Silicon days, startup days, and it's like one guy that helped with Google, one guy was there with Musk with PayPal, one guy was there
Oh,
with, and they have a podcast, and I think it's one of the number one podcasts. They get 500,000 people views or something per episode now. Do one a week, but they just had a big thing. I thought maybe being a financial guy, you would understand, you would know what that is.
there's a lot of material out there. I will definitely check it out. Sounds great. We are actually talking to one of the Google guys that are an investor, and we are talking to X and Linda Icarino about potentially doing something together for payments on X. I mean, the vision
Mm.
for X is to become an all-in super app platform where you can do
Hmm.
obviously freedom of speech, which is pretty important,
What's
we
that?
think, and then payments
Yeah.
and payments that hopefully cannot be canceled because you said something that the establishment doesn't like, and all of a sudden your bank account is shut down, like they did in Canada. And so there's a really good trend and a lot of people behind trying to make sure we preserve democracy, let's say,
You guys
as it
holding your
should be.
breath for this election, or
Oh boy, yeah, it's a tight one. Uh,
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't
Hmm.
I get
know.
little hints that you guys have common sense
So
on
so
on your
so
side.
anyway, you wrote the Weira
We have
24.
common sense, yeah.
you you rode the Weira 24-hour endurance race at Willow Springs on an Attack Performance Yamaha R1 with teammates James Randolph, Nick Einach, which was on the podcast, Jimmy Moore, Vincent, which is he still in a wheelchair, Vincent?
Vincent Hasovich.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
were
good
teammates
save,
at
Gal,
Macau.
by the
So.
way.
And
Yeah,
Dean, Vincent, how do you take turn 8 in 2 in the morning, and how do you know when to start
mm.
turning into turn 9 in 2 in the morning? Where I don't know how well lit the track was.
They had big floodlight thingies, but you can always tell by the eyeballs that are looking at you from the rabbits and the stuff in the distance. It was really cool. I also did a couple 24 hours in the European world endurance stuff, and at night super fun because the bikes run cool. Miguel was talking about this. De Hummel is the engines run a little better and the tires last a little longer. And I was only like literally like I think I was a half a second off from my night today, and I was the fastest at night every time I did a 24 hour, I was the quickest on the team. Just because it's I don't know, I think also it has to do with um a lot of riders use markers a lot. So I'm going to hit that marker and I'm going to turn in that marker and I'm going to hit that apex with that marker and I'm going to hit that marker and that marker. I don't do that. I
Yeah,
don't know what
Josh Hayes
everyone
said he
seems to talk.
uses a rhythm.
I don't know I feel like I'm always thinking third person. Like I'm just thinking, well, I have this mass of me and the bike, these two gyros, and like there is this geometry, and I have to maximize the efficiency of getting in and out. But I'm not just like, because to me, it's like markers would be like, well, hold on, I'm looking over here and I'm going, like, now I break and now I got to go find over there, I guess. And I just don't get it. So at night, I think it's the same thing where you sort of see, I don't know, I don't want to get all arty farty, but it's like this, you just sort of understand that the track is going to be there when you get on top of it, but you're currently in this real estate with this much weight and this fuel load, and maybe the tires are worn out by that point or they're fresh.
Mhm.
So you know how much grip you're going to have when you turn into one and stuff. Turn eight is always about just again, you can make up some time in the fast corners easier than you can in the slow corners, but if you make a small mistake in a fast corner, like in the sprint race today, Martin went a little wide once, you can lose so much time. So at turn eight, whether it's a day or night, it's all about, you try not to crack off the throttle, but on a 1,000C attack bike, you got it just to turn it in. But then you don't, the less you crack off without pushing the front. I don't know if you ever saw Curtis Roberts on the 600 once. He came in on the last lap of 600 Super Sport and they fucking had the thing like full lock the front. he won the race, but he went under Eric Bostrom or something,
Wow.
and he just plowed the front. But that's turn eight in turn eight at Willow. But it's all about just a little less off than the last time, and then once the weight transfers and you're gonna get it back, you get on the gas and get it out on the exit at eight. But no, riding at night is just about maximizing, not losing time. I mean, and plus the motor's better and the tires are better, and you don't sweat as much. So we did a thing at the Bull Door 24 hour at Magnico, and the only problem was on the back straightaway. There was so much from the campfires and the bombs and the blowing up of the engines and stuff that you'd have to go through this cloud of smoke. Like you could not see through it. And you're just going 185 mile an hour going,
Wow.
I'm just hoping that hopefully nobody runs out of fuel or crashes for some reason, and you just go through the smoke, and then it clears out, and then you got to turn brake for that hairpin. But that was a lot of fun. The bikes were black at the end of the race from all the soot from the campfires and the blowed up engines and
Oh wow.
all that. Yeah, it's a party.
How's the
We actually
breathing
went.
though? Because you got to
Hold your,
breathe that stuff in.
yeah, you got to hold your breath through that stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
genuinely, it was so thick you couldn't see through it. But we went there in between legs, like when maybe there was some time. We went there. Is it after? Oh, it was after we DNF'd. We went out there and it looked like World War III. It had all these cars had been burned, and all these things. There was just mayhem, but it was all in good fun. There was nobody being negative. It was all
All right.
just fun to blow up shit and fun to burn shit, and they're allowed to do it. It's just a tradition, for 70 years or something. They just go crazy all night, but you have to ride through it. But anyway, yeah, that was at night. The headlights would light up the smoke, and it would just be like white,
Yeah, you can't
white,
see
like you
anything
couldn't
then.
see
Yeah.
fucking anything. Anyway, yeah.
That's great. We I used to go a lot to Chakwala with Pridmore School, and a couple of times in the middle of the night, there are no floodlights in Chakwala. Well, at the time they weren't. I don't know if they put any since. And him and Michael Gilbert and Solis, when he was still racing, got the great idea of going out and doing who could do the fastest lap in Chakwala in total darkness. And the headlights, they show you in front, but they're not showing you the turn. And so, so we're hearing it because we can barely see them. Uh, we can just see the lights going around, and you could hear Pridmore backing it into turn one because he's going in so fast, and there's nothing you can see. You don't even know where the turn starts. And when he comes back, we're like, "How did you do it?" And he's done this track so many times, right? And he goes, "Well, I just count the time, so I
Mm.
know my shifts, and I know how long I have to stay wide, open, and then it's like in my head. He doesn't actually calculate, but he knows it's like 3 or 4 or 5 seconds, and then he's got to
Yeah.
roll off and brake and turn. And
Was that
Gilbert and
counter?
Solis weren't even close. They were
Yeah.
going counterclockwise. Yeah,
Now, how cool is that? That if I just grab fourth gear, and you just almost to the over rev, that's where you're going to be, right? Like if you
yeah,
do
and
it,
that's the point where you brake if you do it long enough,
yeah, I could
which is
totally see that.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're on autopilot, aren't you?
yeah, yeah. We didn't dare do it. I'm like, I'm gonna run off
With
track
no
so
lights at
fast.
all, I just wouldn't do it because I would be like, I'm so sorry I scratched your bike. I mean, of course. So eventually you're going to try a little bit harder and you're going to scratch the bike. It's a hundred
Yeah,
percent
no, that's the problem. Is you
guaranteed.
go in, you're gonna be careful, and then 2 laps later, you're gonna get grow some, and all of a sudden you want to go fast, and yeah.
So speaking of Jason Pridmore, I have my best friend in California's wife is in love with Jason Pridmore ever since she did a two-up ride with him. And so
Hmm.
now every time like I call or something as a joke, George would be like, "Hey, what's up, dude?" And his wife in the back went, "Is that Jason?" It's like, no, it's only Mark, But it's ever since she got a two-up ride, she's in love with Jason because he scared her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Baby, you really should come with me out to Mulholland on the back of my Tuono, because you might just have a new hero in town. I don't know, because it's a little. If you like the
She
danger, uh,
she seems
we go
amiable.
pretty fast. No, she's cool,
Well,
but
you
yeah.
learn. So it was my very, very early riding days. You learn a lot from doing a two up, and Chris Aldrich does them often at the Moto America races and so on. You never understand what the capabilities of your bike
Hmm.
until you've gone on the back of a pro, and he can show you how hard you can brake and how hard you can accelerate and how fast you can go into turns. And it's almost
Hmm.
like a light bulb going on, where you go, "Oh my God!" You mean I can turn at that speed with two people on it and the bike is not going to tumble? And you're like, no, it's easy.
Yeah, once
We
you
were
see it
in,
once.
you have to see it once, and then it
Yeah.
opens up your eyes completely. I mean, I remember being in the bowl in Chakwala with our elbows almost touching on
Uh-huh.
a two up. I'm
Yep.
like, there is no way. It was a stock Suzuki, what is it, the Kawasaki, and the mirror was almost going to touch the ground. And I
Sure.
just put my hand down, I put my glove on the ground, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool.
Nice.
And it was then I'm going as soon as I got off that two up and got on my bike, I probably went like 5 seconds faster just from that.
Yeah, just to see it. I know when on topic, a couple times I was invited to be part of like Team Hammer school or something from back in the day, and I
Hmm.
I found that when you ride with somebody else, like a track day guy that's there to learn a little bit, if you can just set them up and then outbrake them, like into turn one at Willow, let's say, and then let him by again, and then outbrake him to three again, and then maybe come around him to right as he's entering eight. You just zap him going underneath him in eight. Dude, that guy, like that is the greatest because you're on your own bike and you're pushing limits to what you think is going to be okay. And then
Yeah.
to consistently have somebody with a little more experience, right? You break, wait, and then you break, and he goes, boom, and then make the corner like, oh, I got much. That's cool. I got much more. And then the next lap, he goes a little deeper and a little deeper. Did that several times over the years, even with some like a film producer friend of mine that wanted to learn more, blah, blah, blah. But to actually ride with somebody that can show you on your own bike how much faster you can go. This guy went like 8 seconds faster by the end of the day, like this friend of mine. But yeah, that's a similar thing to being two up. Only you got the guy on their own bike.
Yeah. It's a blast.
Who
So
was
should we talk a little bit MotoGP, Gal?
MotoGP? Should we talk Marquez?
I was looking
What
forward
what
to
what's
that
up?
question.
What's up with that guy just crashing in the race of champion? Just crashed into third place to just knock him out of the track to be on a podium in a race with no money.
Abio Baltaco. The He looks like the cover of a romance novel. Is it Bulgia? Bulgia?
Yeah,
Bulgia?
almost killed the
Bul
guy just to take his third spot.
Mark has no respect for anybody at all, but he didn't
Yeah, I
knock him
got to give you
down.
the heads up, Mark, because the way Gal phrased the question is like both you and Nabil hate Marc Marquez.
Yeah, you guys despise him.
And why?
I I don't.
You don't?
I don't hate him.
Okay.
I don't hate him. I think he's an incredible talent. Did you see him when he went to that short track with some of the dirt track guys or supermoto guys or something? And on the last lap, he was being Mark, and he was like being a little yippy dog on the. He kept passing the pro,
Yeah.
and on the last lap, the pro was just like, dude, you don't understand. You're in my backyard. This is my thing. He just went in there and just took him out, just so nicely. Just went and took him out, and he's like, yeah, fuck you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did you see that? You know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, you
No,
can
I
see it
got
coming too.
immense respect for his talent, except
You
I
don't
don't
like
know.
him?
He's like, no, I just, like the whole following people in qualifying and,
Oh,
being told, stop being an ass. People like rolling off of their qualifying lap just to get him off their back and
so
him like
annoying.
not even caring. It's like, anything to win. Sportsmanship is not there.
But didn't
Respect
didn't
of
Nope.
other
that
riders
didn't
is not
didn't
there.
didn't
It's
that how he got into trouble to begin with? Broke his arm trying to follow Quadraro. He was on
That
a
Mhm.
was
he was on a cold
classic,
tire and he just high sided and that. I
dude.
mean, it could have been. It probably cost him one or two world championships. Just the stunt, and he still didn't
Yeah.
learn from it.
He was messing about, and he kept slowing down, and they cut back to the team, and the team's going like, he's losing all the temperature in the tire. You could see it on their faces, like he needs to put some temperature in that tire. And so, sure enough, he puts his head down, one corner. He just like,
Yeah.
what did you
Yeah.
expect? You're
Yeah.
fucking around for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
By the
don't
way,
know.
that happened today with Carlos Sainz. I don't know if you guys saw the qualifying, but in F1 qualifying three, yeah, he was running a slow lap and then he gunned it. to start doing a fast lap like at the end of the race and the end of qualifying. There was 5 minutes left or so, and he just had no temp in the rear tire. He spun it on the as soon as he started going fast, first corner, spun the car out and hit the wall. Like, it was so
Do you
obvious.
guys do you guys like Martin?
Yeah,
Do you want to see
he's
him win or
fast.
baggy bottoms?
I'm an underdog kind of guy, so I'd love for him to win a championship. Bagnaia already has one. I
Me
think
too.
Bagnaia is the more cool-headed rider, incredibly talented. Martin's got a lot of raw talent. He kind of gets excited sometimes, I think. Gets in a little over his head. But he is fast.
First of all, I'll say I like Bagnaia's sister. Is there anybody else in love with her or just me?
Oh, she's great. Yeah.
I pause. Sometimes I pause live TV and just want to look at no. Um, but Martin was at Jerez. I got to ride with him at Jerez. I was there for Motorcycle
Oh,
News, or no, what was I there for? Motorcycle.com. Had nobody to go to test the new Panigale of last year. I know Rennie just launched the 25. I believe it was for the 24. I got to go out to Jerez, ride, and they had Zarco and Martin out there for fun.
oh
And
wow.
fucking I'm sorry, Martin outbroke me into that down the back straightaway, and we're all on street bikes, including he's on street bikes. But he 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 came by me. I'm not trying to crash a magazine bike, but I went down, brake pretty normal hard, and fucking Martin went by me on his own little test bike that they all give the riders, and he was up with the rear wheel off the ground with his fleet dangling, and he just threw it down into the apex. Wow! And I was like, these kids can ride.
Yeah.
Like they can. It's not like, oh yeah, there's an opportunity and maybe I could do that too. And it's like, dude, he went down there on this street bike so hard on the brakes with his all out of shape and stuff. I to this day I've been a Martin fan because I always joke with my wife. I said, I could have taught him how to brake. If I was like, if it wasn't for that, no. But uh, I think that he got shafted by Ducati by not getting a factory ride twice, and I
Yeah.
think when he's on an Aprilia next year, he's going to be hungry to beat them. And I think he's hungry right now to beat them just because they keep disrespecting the kid for like being the number one slot on a Ducati Pramac.
Yeah.
He should have been slipped up into the factory, and they're like, "Nah, you're
It's
like
the Marquez.
lower
It's the
class."
Marquez effect. They want more viewers. They want
Yeah.
more fans. They want to put the guy that has the most amount of following on the best bike, and they want him winning because that's how you sell tickets. Well, same with Rossi. Rossi was racing 10 years after he should have stopped.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of that politics and so on. Um, well, we'll see how he does. I would love for Bagnaia to kick his ass next year. Just be ahead of Marquez the whole time.
I think Marquez is slowly losing his desire, right? Just slowly, like
I mean, he's been at it for a while. He's got what
I know he's won
eight
the last
championships,
couple,
right?
but
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. I mean, he said my goal is to be the best rider in the world again. When he first went on Ducati.
I just
So
think that the mileage that his body's been through, it just he doesn't have quite that fearlessness. I mean, because he used to be like a rubber band, he would just bounce, and Jorge Lorenzo would be like, he gets away with it every fucking time. He crashes at 208 miles an hour, and he just gets up. He's like, picks up his bike, or like they're all like mad at him. Somebody told me that the doctor was saying that maybe he had a little bit of an elasticity to himself, to his bones, and when he finally broke his bicep, it was because it broke so hard that it wouldn't quite glue together like normal people because of the fact that it had more a little bit. I'm making this up. I don't know anything, but that this rubber band broke and the rubber cement wasn't enough to keep that bone healing properly like normal people, which is why he didn't break every bone in his body his whole career up to that point, is that he was a little bit more limber or something. But it just seems to me like he's playing it safer now. Maybe he's waiting for next year because he's got the contract. But he did win the last two races.
how old is he now?
Yeah.
29?
No, he's like 33,
33?
something like that.
Yeah,
He's
he's got
over
to be in his
30.
30s. He's got to be over 30.
Let me
I mean, it'd be
Google.
nice if he didn't crash into other people. And I want to
He's a
crash on your
total.
own, be my guest, but
He's a dick.
I
Saying he's a
couldn't be more
bad
delighted
driver.
to hear that.
No,
He
but he
is.
is.
And I met him in person
31.
at like the after parties and so on. Even in person without racing, he's a dick.
Is he? I haven't met him.
Yeah, he is.
What did he do? How did he act?
He's just a little arrogant. I think one time I was shooting a video and there was a bunch of riders and other people around there, and nothing official, like just on my phone, running a selfie video, just showing people what the audience is like at the party and so on. And he goes that he got caught like others through the video, and he just runs to me and grabs me and goes like, "Did you get a good picture?" I'm like, "Dude, that was completely unnecessary."
Mm.
You need me to slap him for you, Bill?
He got close to. It was just the way it came across, and uh, it was just not a cool guy.
Just tell him I only got the top of your head.
Yeah. But his off-track personality seems a lot like his on-track personality.
What is the best Arma bike to race on, and why is it one of Kerry's bikes?
I really like his Z1 is the naked one.
Yancey.
Boy, that works. Yeah, exactly. That thing works incredible. It has magnesium wheels. It has big brakes. It has a carbon fiber gas tank. I mean, the thing is fucking sick. It's got like a Harris frame, tubular chromoly frame. I mean, you put all those pieces together, it doesn't weigh anything. It doesn't have I don't even know if it's liquid cooled. Is it air cooled?
Air cooled.
It doesn't have a starter. It has a magneto. I mean, and it doesn't. So the funny thing about racing these older bikes is the first gear it's a street bike. So you could almost start it in second, but it's a 5-speed, and first gear is like 8 mile an hour. So you got to go to second, but then you only get to fifth. So it's not like a long first with like second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. It's like no first, second, third, fourth. Like it's all mid-range. Anyway, they're so fun to race. I never crashed one of Kerry's classic bikes, thank God. I've never crashed any classic bike, but it sucks because there's this dance. You're like, you want to go fast and beat Curtis Adams at Willow, which is hard to do. I beat him at Laguna Seca, but at Willow, he's kind of hard to beat. But I'm like, I'm not crashing your bike, Kerry. And of course, he wants you to win. But at the same time, it's a one-off piece of jewelry that can't be replaced very easily. And I'm like, I'm not crashing your bike. We went to Phillip Island on one of those ZR 69s, is it? XR 69s?
XR, yeah.
Which is carbon fiber tank, the big, huge, old school bubble, looks like an old Grand Prix bike. The thing, magnesium wheels, it's a 1300cc FJ 1100 engine. The whole we're doing 183 miles an hour on the radar at Phillip Island, in the wind, sideways, in crosswind, 183 on the radar on a classic bike with no electronics, big carbs. The carbs actually get arm pumped because it's on a cable and it's on a cam and it rotates these 4 banks anyway, it's not for the lighthearted.
Yeah, because those little butterflies, they get stuck because the air is just pushing them. So
I don't think there are friction. Any butterflies. They're flat slides. They go straight up.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, not the butterflies. The slides, they get stuck.
Yeah.
They get stuck in their little wall because there's all this air pushing them.
Yeah, there's vacuum.
Yeah, vacuum.
They're hard to ride. Actually, Jason Pridmore crashed and broke his leg yet again right in front of me at Phillip Island when I went there just 3 years ago. We were going around the last 2 corners before the straightaway. Fucking high-sided.
Oh.
Right. I'm like, that's what I don't want to do. I hope you're okay, mate. But he did exactly what I would. And Steve Rapp crashed twice that week. And I mean, like, it happened. Like, I'm not crashing Kerry's bike. Like, it's just, so we end up like 8th overall, I think, or 5th overall.
You were teammate with Dale Quarterly?
Yeah.
How was riding with Quarterly? Did he try to put you in the wall or?
I was so fearful of getting beat by him. I never ever saw him. He was always behind me, even if it was only one guy between us. But I one of my only goals was I'd even crash the bike to beat Dale like that week. Like, I'm not getting beat by Dale. For one, he's 6'7", he's 6'4", and I don't know if he's 80 years old now. He might be 85. but fat fuck. And I'm like, he's not fucking beating me. I don't give a fuck. Fuck that guy. No, I'm just kidding. God, I love him.
It
I
was
love
it was
him.
on the
But
podcast. I think the last episode.
oh, really?
Yeah.
He's so cool. He's funny. At first, he's a little bit like you're like, oh, he's really obnoxious and like loud and stuff, and never shuts up. We shared a house, like a big house with everybody. And after about so usually an old like I won't name any names, but there's a commentator currently that I just can't stand. Um, he's funny for 20 minutes and then you're like, shut up, dude. And then Dale is actually really obnoxious for 20 minutes and then you get his timing and his sense of humor and you understand the language of what it is he is. He's actually a super sweet guy. He's super smart. He's super fun and nice. He's a nice guy. And man, I like that guy. But at first I was like, we had 4 fucking days with this guy at this house or something. But by the end, I'm like, I love this guy. But he wears you down. But I beat him. And thank God, because if I got beat by him at 75 years old, I would be really disappointed.
Yeah.
He's really good though. He was actually riding really well.
It's a tough track. Like for the life of me, I could never figure out the roll off and braking point in turn one because you can go
Oh,
so
I
fast in
know.
that turn,
I
and you
know.
get distracted by the view. When you crest, all you want to do is look at the view, and then you forget where marker was the last time, and you try to push it, and then, oh my God, that's too fast. It's just you can go so fast in that turn. I don't think I ever even scratched the limit. And then the
It
temptation
is
on the
tricky.
last corner is you want to build
Mhm.
up so much speed because you get this long straight ahead of you that you start doing some stupid things, and it doesn't look like it, but it's such a tough track I found.
It's very tough. You don't want to crash at Phillip Island because it's going to be kind of big. That
Yeah.
turn one is so, just so we can, in case somebody doesn't know, it's kind of this huge, wide front straightaway with this really wide first turn, but then it shallows up for the next turn. So you can approach it 100 different ways. And the way I wanted to do it, I never really did it because no one else was doing it around me. And I felt stupid, but I wanted to do it. And then I found out afterwards, I went and looked at some old footage of like Rossi and some different guys. And only like the fastest guy that was winning the race was doing it the way I wanted to do it, which was dive all the way down to the inside and just scrub the speed off at the very inside of the corner, even though it's really a wide corner, and just slow down more than everyone else and squirt out to a really nice shallow exit to the turn two. All the other fast guys, like you watch MotoGP, they go way down straight, way over here, slow way down, and then have this big fast arc around the outside middle of the corner. Anyway, there's literally 100 ways you could do it. Go in wide, come out this, or go down inside and come out wide. And anyway, I never did get it right with the one
Yeah.
year I was there with Kerry. Uh, but you don't want to one. You see Zarco when he clipped the back of Marquez and it's fast. I mean, it's 100 and what is it, 200 on the GP bikes. You're cresting over turn one with the wind everywhere and
Yeah.
you're just going to eat shit. And if you crash on the last corner, which is this big sweeper coming onto the back straightaway, the front straightaway, you seen guys high side there. I saw Fredmore high side there, but you see MotoGP guys high side there. That's 162 miles an hour on your knee. Can you imagine high siding at 162 miles an hour?
That would hurt, yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's
your way makes sense actually because it's such a big turn that if you're hugging the inside, you're saving probably, I don't know, 100 feet or so of
Yeah,
distance.
it's a little safer, I think, too. You don't have to carry that high corner speed. You can just sort of scrub it down to the bottom, and then
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
trust you're not so long on the side of the corner of the tire. You're more a little bit less lean angle going down into it, and then you can just tip it, bring it back up.
yeah. Oh, and then the other one was Stoner Corner where Pidmore kept saying, "You got to go flat out." I'm like, I am,
That's a kink.
I am, yeah, the kink. I'm like, I am rolling off. He's like, no, you don't need to. You can go flat out. I'm like, there's no way in hell I am not rolling off.
Do you know who Cameron
He
Donald
didn't.
is? Do
I'm
you know who
sorry?
Cameron Donald? Do you know who Cameron Donald is?
No.
Cameron Donald is a TT racer. He's now a commentator for the TV with me. I'm doing the TV commentating, but he was out there. He's Australian. He's won a couple TTs, and did he win Macau? I think he's been on the podium at least. really good rider.
Oh wow.
But long story short, he was pissed off at me because we went out of stoners, and I'm pretty good. Like I use one finger on the front brake for life. I don't care how good or bad the brakes are. I have to, and I can go in real quick and just sort of drop it down. I've got all this feel, and I stuffed him pretty hard. And later on in TV for the local TV station, they asked him. He says, "Oh, anybody is there anybody you would like to beat more than anyone else?" And he went, "Mark Miller, the American." He stuffed me so bad going into what was it, Honda or whatever. Anyway, he's got a number on his back. I'm coming for him. But anyway, that was right after that Stoner's King. That next hairpin is, dude. Guys are going four wide, and it's just mayhem. But it's you know which one I'm talking about, right? That
Yeah,
the
Lukey
horseshoe to the
Heights.
right. Is
Lukey
it Lukey
Heights.
Heights? No, to the
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, when you
Yeah.
go downhill and you make that right.
No, no.
Oh,
It's like
before
turn five or six.
Siberia. Is that what they call Siberia?
So turn one, turn two,
Yeah.
kink left, and then hard braking hairpin to the right.
Yes. I know the one you're talking about.
Honda, right? They call
Yeah.
it now. They call it Jack Miller.
Do
That's
they?
right.
Yeah. Anyway, that's where a rap crashed at least once. Anyway, I'm just trying to.
Is Jack Miller going to be unemployed soon?
No, he
No,
got a
he's got a
ride.
You
job.
got a ride?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pramac?
He just got another one.
Pramac Yamaha, I think. Now they're
He
Yamaha.
always rides fast right before his contract's over. I wish these guys would be like more consistent. They always go fast right at the end.
But that's the
Ah,
same with everybody. Yeah, they're just like when they have the gun to their head, all of a sudden the gems come
like
out.
Digi, I call him.
The Gian Antonio.
DNG, yeah, that guy. I love that guy. But he was killing it at the end of last year when he had fuck all, and now he got hired. Where is he? Like 11th. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Living the good life. You got to
You
suffer
want
a
to
little
strangle
bit.
him? I think
Yeah, I
him.
mean, you could tell us because you've professionally raced, but it sounds like when they have nothing to lose, they can take more risk, and when they're in for the long haul with a new team, they don't want to break the bike too often. I don't know what goes
Yeah,
in their head.
it's always desire, isn't it? I mean, racing is always desire. Life is desire.
Well, you give a 17 or a 19-year-old $20 million. They're not busy thinking about winning. They're busy about thinking about what Ferrari they're going to buy, right?
Well, back in the day when I was around the AMA, the biggest agent, which handled the Roberts and I think the Haydens both, uh, they would specifically not. They would give them a very small salary. They would take all the money from all the boots and the helmets and the leathers and the gloves and the fucking bike and the salary and the per diem and the winnings, the the bonuses, and they would all take it all in, and they would give them like 28 grand a year salary.
That's smart.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because for one, they have something to look forward to when they retire,
Right.
unlike an Anthony Gobert or something that would be like, "Oh no, I'll be all right. Give me an envelope," and he's just like, "Well, I'll buy drinks for everybody," and I'm gonna fucking like he zero at the end of his whole thing. But the moral of the story is if you can rein in all that income for a young man, he's going to stay focused, going to stay off the girls probably, and keep hungry, looking at the racing, and not have any extra cash to buy a shitty, big car or a bass boat, fishing boat, or 100 guns, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're gonna like, oh, I really like this watch. I'm gonna start buying watches. Next thing you know, like I think is it Miguel that has a big collection?
I don't know.
Somebody has a big collection of watches.
Miguel never showed us his collection. I don't know.
I can't
Yeah, I
remember. I
don't
was
think
just
we went
watching
off
something.
track too much with him too.
Anyway, I could see how if you had a lot of money and not a lot of um, um discipline,
Yeah.
you're gonna end up, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're only given 28 grand, that's only enough for the minimum.
Yeah.
But yeah. But
Mono-
Quatnaro just got rich.
Who?
Quatnaro was just given 15 million euros a year.
Well, they have to compensate him for a shitty bike.
All right.
Sorry,
Moto America. Moto America. The grid has not been that packed ever since you raced, I think. So you
I haven't watched it.
You haven't watched it? Okay.
No, and I'll just be honest. I haven't watched almost a single Moto America race.
Okay.
in '08, they, when for me it was the Daytona group took over AMA, and they were talking about
Yeah.
doing like rolling starts, and they're doing all this nonsense, and I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out. I'm out. I don't care anymore. If it's going to be run into the ground by a bunch of numbnuts, I don't want to watch it. And then, God bless Rainey and everybody for trying, Thomas Stevens and all these guys for brilliant. But without the manufacturers, without any kind of like, you want to have unobtainable bikes to appreciate when you go. You want to see riders with personalities, and you want to see
Yeah,
rivals.
we're not going to get the manufacturers as long as there's no sales, and there's not going to be any sales because of the cost of the bikes, because of the way the youth thinks. I mean, it's a ground up operation, and it's not happening right now. So, but I think Rainey's doing everything he can possibly can to put on a really good show, and the show is good. I mean, if you
Mm.
if you open YouTube and look for the last races, it's a good show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Baggers was brilliant. I think the Baggers kind of brought, the
Hmm.
Harley
I've seen
crowd is
that.
like 10 times sports bike crowd. And
Yeah.
it's kind of hooliganish enough that people were like, oh, this is fun. I can watch that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's really fun to watch. I've seen it. The baggers. Yeah.
we're also in a
yeah.
good situation in the U.S. where we don't have those stupid Euro 5 and 5 Plus, and
Mm.
I mean they're not selling the Gixxers anymore in Europe. They're not selling the R1 in Europe.
Well, they
So
stopped doing like the R6 because of the rule. Because if they can't sell it in Europe, they're not going to build it for the US
yeah,
market where they
yeah,
sell,
yeah.
three a month.
We have our own problems with the noise emissions, but at least we don't have that Euro 5 crap.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
because
So
motorcycles, how many motorcycles are out there? I mean, if you talk about pollution and you talk about global warming, motorcycles it's negligible. It's nothing. Just leave us alone. But we're an easy target to pick on, and the government always picks on the weak people that can't hire attorneys and fight back. So
I think on
that's a
a
problem.
positive note,
Uh,
in Calabasas, at least here in California, there's a lot of kids on these Razor electric bikes and different little super motory kind of dirty dirt bikes and stuff on the street with like bicycle helmets. Those
yeah.
kids, and there's a lot of them now, and they're all doing wheelies down the street and stand up and stuff like that. Those guys might actually migrate to some bigger street bikes as they get a little older or they get into college and stuff. You might see a whole new wave of the love of two wheels. By these kids that are currently riding these electric dirt bikes on the public roads.
That's very smart of you to say because we had Leisner a few podcasts ago, and he ran a couple of battery bike and bicycle companies, and he said they think this is what's going to get the youth back into two wheels. They start with like a very unintimidating kind of
Mm,
small, battery powered bicycle essentially, and I see them
yeah,
zipping around here all the time. You're right, and all of a sudden they want to commute to work or get something that has a little more oomph or where they can go to Malibu and back without running out of battery.
yeah,
And they get into the gas bikes and, instead of the guy who up front buys like the latest V4 Panigale to go to Starbucks, and there's three of these guys, then you'll have people who actually genuinely love it and kind of want to go riding
yeah.
on weekends.
And there's something to be said
So,
about what Miguel Duhamel said, which is the more freedom you have, the more responsibility that comes with. I think that when you've got these kids, I'm actually surprised they're not cracking down on some of these kids with bicycle helmets doing on public roads. They're riding these electric bikes, and it's like that.
yeah,
If I was their age, I would be one of those kids and I would have some anodized bits and you know what I mean. You had to customize it, and I would be definitely at the cutting edge. And it's cool that they're not cracking heads and saying those are banned and they're outlawed and stuff because at the moment those kids are learning about freedom. They're off their phones. They're out doing things where they're making choices to not be such a dickhead to scrape their elbow again. So then you work back from that and go, I'm going to have fun with this. I'm with my friends outside. We're going to go a little bit off trail after, and then we're going to go to Gelson's down the public road. But they have to be careful because after a while, they even subconsciously they're like, we got to look out for that blind thing where the cars could come out. So they'll be
yeah,
coming up to that. Go, be careful, cover your brake. Let me just and and there's no car. And then you can wheelie again. But all of these little decisions, which actually have some physical ramifications to their health, Jesus Christ, we need that. We need more of that to survive humanity with all of the shit that's going on around us, as we alluded to. But I think it's a cool thing that these little electric bikes are within reach to get them their foot in the door. Of course, little bikes are
Yeah.
cool. I mean, all over the Europe and stuff, they start with 100s or 125s. That you know what I mean? They have to graduate, but just to be out there and have that freedom and also have that kind of like that mortality in the palms of your hand, like
Yep.
my safety
Yeah, yeah.
is it's important instead of
Yeah, and
being
I think psychologically what's kind of helping the moms get over, I'll let my kid ride this, is it's a bicycle, it's got an electric motor. It doesn't carry the title motorcycle, so they don't freak out like, oh, my
mm,
kid's gonna die and it's too dangerous. So it's a good kind of gateway drug.
mm, definitely. I mean, what you want to live forever? What the hell?
Yeah, it's
You just gotta live just before you run out of money, all right?
yeah. Well, now they're saying, I just read something yesterday, was from a futurist that Diamantis, if you know him, is basically, if you're under 40, prepare to live until you're 150. I'm
I
like,
don't
that's
Mm,
gonna
I
be
don't think
boring.
so. I don't think so.
no,
I think
it'll be.
genetic engineering is at least I don't know,
Oh no, it's not that. I think it's the science behind longevity and nutrition and
oh,
potentially organ replacements and things like that
what
that
was
will
that guy
just
that
extend
sold
you.
his payment company to PayPal that's doing that experiment of trying to stay alive as much as possible?
Yeah, yeah. He looks weird.
Yeah, it looks really
Yeah, the
looks
one
really
who gets
weird.
blood from his son all the time.
I don't know if he gets blood from his son, but he just opened a supplement company, and it's
Yeah, I
nothing.
know the guy you're talking about. He
Yeah,
looks like a ghost. He's got this
He looks
white,
like a
yeah,
doll.
transparent
Like
skin.
mm,
yeah,
Yeah, I'll
he
tell
doesn't
you in a
look
second
healthy.
because he's on
yeah.
my
I think I saw a
Instagram.
documentary about how he does it and the amount of pills he takes every day, and the fact that he doesn't really come outside, and is
He's got psychological issues, that guy.
yeah, his workouts his workouts are pretty standard. He's not doing anything out of the ordinary that none of us can do. Except he has this machine that this electromagnetic machine that he puts on his muscles, and it simulates him doing crunches. That was pretty
Mm.
cool. Um,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Rather than do the crunches themselves?
yeah, he
I
doesn't want
think
to do
when they come
crunches.
up with your DNA repair, that'll be a huge thing. If they can just inject you with, let's put your DNA exactly back to when you were 25.
That's CRISPR. So they had CRISPR for a long time, but first of all, the universities kept fighting about who owns the patent. And second of all, they never found a way to actually do it effectively in a living person without doing it in a fetus, because they did play
Um,
with genetic engineering, not in the U.S. because it's illegal, and they made human babies that are resistant to AIDS and a lot of other diseases. Um, but I don't think they found a way to just inject something to you that's going to alter your DNA.
Not yet,
Not
but if
yet.
you
Well, with
could,
the mRNA, it's messing around.
mRNA, yeah, mRNA is a step.
can
Yeah.
you imagine if you actually start taking some kind of like a process and your scar heals from when you're 12,
Yeah,
or your sunspots or a broken arm, like you actually become an OG of yourself at a cellular level. Dude, our cells are replaced every couple of days. Like we could just regenerate.
yeah. We regenerate
Nice.
completely every 7 years. So every 7 years, all the cells that were in your body 7 years ago are not there anymore. So if you start eating healthy now, you'll be okay in 7 years.
Oh, Brian Johnson. Is that the guy you guys were talking
I
about?
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Mm.
guy with a blueprint diamond.
Yeah, Blueprint. That's the guy.
Yeah, Brian Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a little
I,
on the
I think
edge
I
there.
think the best thing anybody can do for their health is to build into a 45-day water fast. So
Whoa.
if you do not eat anything and just drink water for 45 days, most of the cells that are damaged in your body are gonna dissipate because the body digests them. It's called autophagy, and once you start eating again, the body's gonna make new cells that are new and better. So a lot of people with cancer, a lot of people with autoimmune diseases, They got rid of those just by having the body eat the bad cells first. But I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, but the issue with that, I don't know how you do it without supplements because you're going to eat into your calcium in the bones, and you're going to eat into your muscles. You're going to eat into all your
Yeah, I think there's a place
so
in South America that they do medical supervision while people fast. So
Like shrooms,
yeah,
ayahuasca.
yeah. I did the most I did was I think 7 days. So
yeah, a buddy of mine did 9, and he was a wreck. Like we were going to go for a ride to the rock store, and he's like, "I can't ride. I
yeah,
get on the
you
bike and I
can't.
get
Yeah,
dizzy. I think I'm going to fall over."
yeah,
And that was 9 days.
yeah. You can't do anything, and then you start smelling ammonia because the body eats up your muscles. So
Mm.
it's not a simple process, but I think as far as health, anybody should be able to do 3 days at least every
3 days.
quarter. Yeah, 3 days at least every quarter.
Yeah.
So 4 times a year, 3 days. I think is the best thing for your health.
I think that the older I get, I just turned 54 like 2 days ago.
Oh, happy
Congratulations,
birthday.
happy
Are
birthday.
we similar? Are we all similar?
Yeah,
I'm the exact same age, yeah.
I'm 51.
Okay. We're
So you're born 70.
70, yeah.
Yeah, same as me.
But it's just common sense, man. One thing is when you start learning about all this, the healthy cellular energy and all this kind of crap, and then you go to the movie theater and you just see the colorful crap, just this crap, and have a free icy if you buy the Cinnabon. So you're gonna eat this
Yeah.
Cinnabon, which is just fucking nothing,
Man.
and then you're gonna chase it down with an icy, which is fake sugar on top of nothing, syrup with colorful shit. My God, we have to stop eating this crap.
Yeah.
It,
I mean, I really hope somehow RFK gets to do the health program that he's trying to put in if he gets into the team that gets elected, because he's got all the right. I mean, vaccine, he may be a little extreme, but
we back to
he wants to
politics.
clean up kind of the whole food base.
Back to
You can't
politics.
avoid it these days. Well, we're talking about the health aspect. Right?
Okay, so I think
But you said
education.
You get the poison out of the
You said
food.
vaccine.
Education. I think education is key. They're not going to start selling sugar as long as there's a single person buying it. So if you educate your children that this is bad for you, and the reason they sell it is because they make money off of it, their priority is not your priority, then things are going to sort themselves out.
Yeah, you don't want to be somebody's bitch, like you don't want to be a mug. You don't want to have somebody take advantage of you. And I think once you click that in your brain that you're being taken advantage of for somebody's profits, and they're trying to
Yeah.
bait you into it by either speaking down to you like a child, like, hey, this is really cool. Come on, let's go buy this and eat this crap. Like they do in commercials with that voice,
Yeah.
like a mom to a child.
Yeah.
Or, you see their profits and their margin, and that Coca-Cola or all these companies have went from cigarettes to buying fast food. Dude, you don't want to be one of their bitches, like you just don't want to give them,
And then
because you think they're eating.
And then they sell you Ozempic or whatever it is to lose weight. They sell you the food. They sell you the drug,
Yeah.
not to eat the
To
food.
stay on the wheels and pay.
Yeah.
Well, I read like the big turn we had in our food industry was when the cigarette companies were starting to get canceled, and Philip Morris and all of them invested in food companies.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
started applying the addiction science they had learned into the food production. That's where they started injecting sugar, like even in Gerber baby food,
Yeah.
to get you addicted to sugar early on, that you just latch on and you can't get off.
You both are lucky because you live next to my favorite farmers market in Calabasas. So.
Oh, yeah?
Oh yeah. I don't know if you've ever been. It's the only
On the strip there,
Yeah,
across from Sagebrush.
next to the Commons, the other side of Gelson's. Gelson's is it?
Commons is there, Gelson's is there, but Sagebrush has got a strip there with the.
Yeah, where they have a little strip
Yeah.
where you can walk.
Yeah,
and so on.
it's
That's
the
probably
only
where they
it's the
have
only farmers market I know with valet.
Yeah, that's the one over there by the sushi place by Sagebrush.
Yeah, so I used to go there when I lived in the valley. I used to go there every Saturday morning. So you guys are lucky because that's where I would get my my groceries from. And then in Vegas, unfortunately, there's not a lot of farmers market. There's nothing growing here, so everything that comes in from California.
It's actually hard to shop right for food. You got to do the research and
Yeah.
Mm.
you know.
But also, just it's common sense. It just minimize the
Yeah,
basic. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
just basic shit. Just don't eat packaged crap that's colorful.
Yeah. Stay away
And it's
from
not that
the
hard.
middle. Stay away from the middle of the supermarket and go towards the edges. That's what
Mm.
they say.
Is
Or
that right?
yeah.
yeah,
That's true.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
funny.
In large part, yeah, yeah. Well, speaking of nutrition, so we get back on topic. What did you do for nutrition, Mark, on like in general, but also like, the night before the race and during the race, and if you have an endurance, how do you
Yeah,
manage?
I could say first off, when you work out 4 hours a day on top of 2.5 hours of motorcycling every day, you can eat anything and it doesn't affect you physically, like the
Right.
look of you at all, because you're just burning. You're just burning. And I really miss that. And I miss having the youth of that metabolism and stuff. But
Mhm.
it is a luxury. And I remember the first moment that I realized that I was getting paid to be an athlete. I was literally getting a salary, no other income other than to race. And I was like, I'm obligated to be physically fit. It's my job is okay. I have 45 minutes a couple Sundays from now. That's the race. But all that time leading up to that, my job is to show up physically fit. Somebody else cares about my health. The whole team cares about
Mhm.
my physical well-being. Interesting. Get paid to be fit. But answering your question, honestly, it's so simple. It's just a lot of proteins. Um, it just whole foods. I mean, just normal. Right before the race, though, I have a superstition that before a race, the night before a race, I would eat pizza
Mhm.
because I felt really strong the next day during the race, later in the race, and it probably had something to do with the carbs, the cheese and the bread and the
Right.
sauce.
You up your
But
glycol levels, yeah.
and it might even be psychological that you kind of feel like you've had a little bit of joy before the big stress of the race, that I was able to be naughty and just eat pizza. So you actually show up going, a little bit like, I had some pizza last night after all the hard work and all we talked about all this discipline doing the next 90 reps before you leave the gym and stuff. At the last minute, you're like, oh, fucking eat a pizza. Watch me. You think I'm scared? You think I never ate a pizza before? And then you show up the next day going like, I'm prepared completely. And the carbs didn't hurt.
Yeah,
So,
I
but
think your
yeah,
body. I think your body was drained, and you give glycogens that went into your liver and to your muscles. So I think that's what did it. The,
and it was real. Like I felt like I was a little stronger the day after a lot of
you
pizza.
you were probably, yeah,
You just
Yeah.
felt like you had endurance.
yeah. The carbs don't
Funny.
go accumulate as fat. They go in as glycogen when you're depleted.
Hmm. Are you like a nutritionist yourself?
No, I just read a lot, I guess.
Hmm.
I don't know. I saw what he eats. I don't think he's a nutritionist at all.
I eat buffets all the time. One of the advantages of living in Vegas.
Yeah, right. Peanut lover. Do you think I could maybe take a piss real quick?
I think we
We could
should.
edit this
I
out.
think we
Yeah,
should. I
we
think we
could
should
probably wrap it
finish.
up.
I
Actually,
think we
it's
should
been two and
wrap
a
it
half
up.
hours.
Yeah. Let me
How
wrap it
much?
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
How
two and
long
a
is
half
it?
hours.
You're
Time
joking.
flies when you're having
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. Let me wrap it up, and then I'll bleep up the piss, or maybe I'll leave it there because I'm pretty lazy when it comes to editing. I don't do a lot of editing. I just take it as is and drop it out there. But I can take it off if you
But
want.
yeah, yeah.
No? Okay. All right. In that
I don't know.
case,
Anything else we should talk about?
I think we.
I think
Oh
we've
yeah.
gone around the
Last
world twice,
questions.
right?
Last question. What are you
Wow.
currently doing? How can people connect with you?
Ah,
Yes.
so currently, I am full time writing a novel. The
Oh,
wife's in
nice.
the film industry and in a high level, and we are maneuvering to get some intellectual property in order to make some content that's fictional based on different things, and that's the easiest way to answer that.
Okay. Mysteriously
Anything
writing a
fans should know
novel,
about
and
following you or supporting you?
I couldn't care less as far as I don't have. I'm so old, dude. I'm on Facebook. I have like 4,700 friends on Facebook, which is really cool because they're almost a lot of friends I've actually met along the way. But if you want to friend me on Facebook, that'd be cool because then we could stay in touch.
I'm
But as
already
far as
I'm already your Facebook friend.
okay, I'm old. I'm OG. Like that was Facebook. I was like, that was it. All this Instagram and TikTok and stuff. I have my
Also
same friend,
Friendster and MySpace.
MySpace, baby. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Napster. But no, I have some friends like the same George I mentioned before with the girlfriend who's in love with JP. We went all the way to Baja to recon that thing, and he's sitting there going like this, like I don't know, he had some satellite or something, and he's going like, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know, I can't stop. He's like doing, I don't know, is that TikTok that does that, or is that Instagram? He's just looking at these short videos or something.
Could be Tinder. I don't know.
I just wanted to take his phone. Would you stop? I know what it's like when you even on my stupid old school Facebook, I'm like scrolling down and going, I can't get off this thing. I'm just looking at all my friends like dogs and holidays and
Okay, let me finish the podcast, go pee, and then we'll talk. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of Edge Grip Podcast. This was myself, Nabil, and Mark the Thriller Miller, and we'll see you all next time.